Uh-oh, yay.
See him?
Oh, this is for posterity.
Posterity. Always.
Oh my goodness.
You put some salt on prosperity and it tastes pretty good.
Good advice.
Just put some salt on prosperity and it's pretty good.
Mine's got hot pepper seeds too, so it's good. So what's everybody doing?
Who remembers taking a BAR up on top of the team house and having a contest of shooting the limbs on the poplar tree? Who remembers that?
Not me.
Nope,
I remember a 50 cal on the roof. I had to face up with them from our wonderful counterparts, indigenous AT. Those
That
assholes.
50 never worked. It fire once.
Well, I'm glad. I wish it was the one on his team roof that didn't work, because we just stood there and I backed down and he backed down and that was it. But man, you never get drunk when you're facing off on a 50 caliber. Nobody's up on top of the team house with nothing happening unless you're drunk. Yeah, so that's good.
Time trying to get a suntan, but I think the medic was opened up with a machine gun, and it was we were both catapulted off of these stretcher or the what the hell? They were foldable cots. We were laying on, and somebody opened up the machine gun. We both just were catapulted off of both of those cots like they're spring loaded. I think I remember being up on top of the team house.
So Al, can I get my gas mask back?
Oh, wait a minute. I got to verify this. Is this Mike Winslow of the San Francisco Winslows?
That's correct.
That was the last thing you told me when I saw you in Saigon on the way out. Yeah, you said, you can always get a hold of me, Al. Just Mike Winslow from the San Francisco Winslows. Well,
I remember that party we had at the airport. Yes.
Oh, no, this was, I saw you in it was in a, they had you hold up in a hotel or someplace in Saigon. I don't know if it was an embassy or where.
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah. So, wow, Mike, it's great to see you. How you feeling?
Doing good. You know, like
Good.
everybody's getting older, so slowing down a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard a turtle song the other day and I thought of you.
Okay.
Mike and I used to have fun listening to music when we were together.
Oh, yes.
Is there anybody here who was with the team when it came into Trang Sup, with Sheldon's original team?
I came out of Tranks up.
Trying soup, a different camp.
Trang Sup was early, and then he went on. Then the camp went on to Tri B.
Try to be, yes.
Yep.
So most of you are from the Tri B period. And who's here from Thien?
Right here.
I
Oh,
am.
Indian, yes.
Mike and I are from Thien.
I am too.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't have anybody here from Trang Sup, why don't we start talking for the people here from Tri B to start on that. What happened? Were you there when it moved or after it moved? What was going on when you moved to Tri B? Don't all talk at once.
Yeah.
Don't know, try B.
I'm not familiar with Tri B either.
Yeah, Try B was in
Yeah,
67.
that's the original camp. The original camp.
You weren't in it, don't worry.
Before, yeah, I was there.
Talk about it if you know anything about it.
What?
What they did is they had two camps sort of south of Tien, and they kept moving them north. So Trang Sup and one other camp, then went to Tri B and went up to Preklock, and then up to Thien and up to Khartoum.
Fellow camps.
So those camps just moved forward.
Yeah, Khartoum was no fun.
Oh, I always said it was a testing area for when the NVA came across the border. They tested their mortars against the camp because they got mortared every day.
I
Oh,
remember
you bet.
our intel sergeant, and I can't remember his name. When I got to Tinian, he had come in from Katoon at some point. Anyway, he related a story about having a shortage of water because during the siege,
Mhm.
they had to take turns to grab water, and as a result, they didn't have a whole lot. And during that period, some full bird decided to do an inspection, and the sergeant major accompanied him, and he looked at everybody and on the fact that how filthy they looked, and the sergeant major looked at him and said, "Well, sir, we give them a canteen of water a day. They just must drink the shit." And the fellow that came from there, I can't remember his name, was the intel sergeant. I think it was an E7. I ran into him a few years later out in the middle of nowhere in West Texas.
Louis, that was you.
Say again?
Sounds like Louis in West Texas.
You.
Hey, Dave, Steve,
Yeah.
this is Lou.
Talking
We
about you.
built Tinian in, pardon me, in December of '67. Big battle to take the place, junction of Route 20 out of Thien and Route 22 coming in from the south. There's a junction there. I didn't get there to Trai until September of '67. Pardon me. So before that time, I wasn't at Tribe E until then, in September of '67. Colonel Hayes, when I reported to him from the 101st, told me that he had a mission for me. And I said, "What is that, sir?" He says, "You go to Tribe E, and then you're going to build me a new camp closer to the Cambodian border." I said, "Airborne, sir, we can do it." Well, we didn't know what we were getting into, but those of you who were there or after, you know what it was there. So consequently, I left after the camp was built, probably in January, February, and I went back to Company A, Colonel Hay, and I became a liaison for all the camps in Company A. And that was my stint with Tribe and Tinian. But we had a heck of an opportunity to do something there. I didn't know until later that COSVIN, Central Office for South Vietnam, that controlled all of the activities for the Viet Cong in South Vietnam, was right across from us. And they didn't want us there, so they came after us when we started building the camp. And there's a lot to tell more, but I just want to insert when I was there and what I knew about it. And Sammy Hernandez was with me, and we got caught in an ambush, and he got hit, and that's another story. And they knew we were coming because my counterpart was with his chogi boy was wearing pots and pans and let the VC know we were coming. And sure enough, they found us, and we got ambushed with a giant Chinese claymore, probably about 20 feet in diameter. And Sammy got hit and it destroyed he was with a CRP in front of the movement, and he got hit in the head. The others before him were either obliterated or cut in half and what have you. So that's a big story, what happened with Sammy and me. Sammy had come to us from, I believe it was the other camp, Suida. He had been wounded there earlier too. Got hit in the ass. He showed me when we were taking a shower where he got hit in the ass. So I've lost track of Sammy, and I'm so proud of him, what he did, and his free fall into North Vietnam. That's no longer in closed books, but he's the greatest soldier I've ever met at that time. So we saw each other again at Fort Bragg or Fort Benning, and he said, "Sir, you're a sorry ass commander." Yeah, I said, "Well, that's what I intended to be, but I got the job done, didn't I?" "Yes, sir, you did." You know, so that's my stint at Tribe E, and I have photos of the original camp, and what surprised me is when I reported to the camp, I replaced Captain, I forget who it was. He was on the way out. And it surprised me that I looked at the entrance to the camp. It was a straight shot into the camp. By then, we knew that we couldn't have a straight shot into the camp. And so I said, hey, Team Sergeant, let's get this squared away. And I said, what about the wiring of the cables into the claymores out in the perimeter? Well, they haven't been checked, sir. I said, well, God damn it, check it. What should I have to tell you? Get it done. I don't remember who the team sergeant was this. I believe we had two that I remember, but not by name. Gentlemen, I'm pushing the 90, so that mass up there in the brain is gone, as you well know. So anyhow, I have a lot of stories to tell about Trai B, but that would take time. Remember, we had I believe a rough puff outpost over by Moduck 1 and Moduck 2, the two little villages down the road or up the road from the camp to Thien, two little villages. I believe they call them Moduck 1 and Moduck 2. Well, that was all Viet Cong control. And there was a RFPF outpost there, Vietnamese, and kind of controlled by the local priest there. One time he sent word to us that he wanted us to participate in a graduation of children at the RFPF outpost there for the children in the villages. So Team Sergeant got some stuff together, got all those little boxes of cereal that we used to cut open and put water into them and eat them, and for the little kiddies. And we went there, and there was a ceremony of graduation for the kiddies, and there was 3 or 4 of us from the camp there. And then he got down to business. He says, the reason I want you here, I need you to help me build up my defenses. We need some ammunition and weapons and how to fight and all that stuff. That was his prime reason for getting us there, which we did. So Team Sergeant, God bless him, he got everything going and got it all set up for better defense. But it didn't work that well because the Viet Cong just stood back. And one time our 2 interpreters, Mr. Tu, who had been with the Viet Minh during the Indochina affair, was now our great little guy, smaller than me. Great guy, great. That's all I can say. Great. He was with us when Sammy got hit in that ambush we got caught in, and he came. Boom! It went. It looked like a doggone freight train. It is that knocked us back. But he was up further with the CRP, and Mr. Tu came running back to me. I'm on the radio trying to get some help because we were getting a lot of firepower in to there. It was just towards Cambodia off of Route 20. Yeah, Route 20. And they knew we were coming. They set it up, and boom, they let us have it. Like I mentioned earlier, it decimated about 4 or 5 of the leads in the CRP. And Sammy was about the 4th, 5th, or 6th guy back. Luckily, he got hit in the head and not in the body. So Mr. Tu came running back to me. I'm on the radio already. He's trying to get some help, and he says, "Sir, Dai Wee, Sammy hit. Take me to him." And as that I'm going, here comes Sammy with a big bandage around his head and walking. I said, "He's okay." And so I get back on the horn, trying to get a relay through the relay site up there on Black Virgin Mountain.
Louis
Run
Baudet.
by the 25th
Oh, yeah.
Infantry. Yeah, it was run by the 25th Infantry. And that little punk up there taking my messages, he was screwing everything up to the part that I was frustrated. And I said, "You son of a bitch, I know who you are. I'll find you by your voice. And I'm going to come up there and kill you if you change one more word in my message." So I had to revert to calling Preklock for help. And our FAC up above had not been clear near us, so I had to call him to come and get us some help. Took about an hour and 20 minutes to get some gunships in there. As you know, we were all low on the totem pole for the big units for us, air support and what have you. And then he finally got some flyers in there, what I call the high flyers. And they came in and I said, "Get them up close." So they got them close and kind of knocked us out of our prone position from how close we got them. But they kept coming at us. So consequently, like I said, I'm trying to make a short story here. Sammy and I moved out with a unit, and I sent word to the Vietnamese young trooper who was in charge, the Vietnamese SFer. And I said, let's go back to the camp, but don't go the same way we came. He said, no, Daiwi, no. Well, he was a warrant officer aspirant, young kid, about 19, 20 years old. He screwed us up from the beginning, and we walked into that ambush. I said, don't go so fast, take it easy, get some people out there and check it out, which he didn't do. We were supposed to be advisors, what, in quotation marks? So when the shooting goes, what happens? We took over, right? We had the assets. So the flyers came in, and then we start moving back, and it's getting dark, and we've got about 4 or 5 guys being carried on litters made out of bamboo and ponchos or whatever. And so I called a stop. Sammy says, yes, sir, that's what we better do. So we call a stop. Everybody hopefully stays in place and not goes over to the Viet Cong and tell them where we were in the dark. And then Sammy and I are back to back and stay awake. And I'm talking to the FAC. He's off out of the way, so he wouldn't pinpoint us where we were. And I kept touching something with my feet, and I heard Sammy say, sir, we've got a lot of people around us. So I said, I hope they're friendlies. And I kept saying, Sin Loy, as I touched a body below me. And it come morning, we got some light. It was a dead body. And I was telling him, I'm sorry, all night long. But anyhow, we got out there, and then we got some reinforcements coming in from the camp with a camp commander, and took out the bodies and the wounded and what have you. And so we made our way back. And I used to have some frightening thoughts, because they were used to walking back to the camp on Route 20 from out in the boonies, the jungle or forest, whatever we call it there. And they'd get on the road, and I'd have to tell the counterpart, hey, let's get on the flanks, at least off the road. But sometimes it didn't work. So, well, we built the camp. We had Thien. We had people from all over the different camps come and reinforce us, so we could make a big wide perimeter. And I had a CP right at the junction of Route 22 and 20, and they had already zeroed that in, the mortar guys. And I had a buddy who was in charge of the 3-car Mike force, the Nungs, and he was there with me. He was like I say, we have so many things to say. He had been with the Cubanos that invaded Cuba, and they got captured and released and interrogated by Castro, who let them go. And then they had the choice of going to whatever service they wanted in the U.S. They all chose, all but one chose going into the Army, and they wanted in SF. When I reported the 7th group in 64, 65, they were there, and I became their boss. So we had a tight unit of Hispanics, and when we'd go make jumps, we gave all our commands in Spanish, and the white boys said, what the hell's going on? Just follow the motions, that's all. We'd jump out. But anyhow, he and I were there together, and I'm very proud of him. I put him in for a Silver Star because we were getting the heck mortared out. It was straight out of Route 22 between us and Cambodia, because BC already had it all zeroed in. And he stood up and moved forward out of the camp perimeter and took a law, and called in some mortar rounds on the bad guys and obliterated them and saved that part of the perimeter straight from Route 22 back into the campsite. And so I put him in for Silver Star, and he did. Nevertheless, so again, if you don't mind me going a little wider here in the information, we had an engineer battalion. We had an supporting us to bring some laterite from a source down by the river, which would be west of the site where we were, between the old Trai B and the new Thien. And the engineer unit had some dump trucks. They were bringing in laterite to build the new airstrip right on Route 20. So in one of those movements, I had set up security from down in the laterite source, and then at the main part of the camp in the center of the perimeter. So the plan was to secure the road from east to west and make sure it was secure all along the flanks of the road. And well, what happened one time, some gung-ho young troopers from the engineer battalion who was with us took off before the security was joined hands, and so to speak, along the road, and the Viet Cong attacked, and they killed a couple of the drivers and captured another one, and they held him for 2 years. He escaped after the second attempt, and he was teaching later in the years. I was with the Ranger Department and expecting all Ranger trainings at different units all over the nation in Puerto Rico and what have you. And I met him at Fort Ord, California, where he was teaching, what do you think? SEER, because he escaped twice. And he told me, sir, I knew that when they got me, that you had sent out some troops to try and find me. And every time he got close, they kept moving me, which is normal in their way of doing things. So consequently, he escaped the second time. And first time he got captured again. He escaped the second time. He was in black pajamas, no top, and a slight beard. And when the little bubble helicopter was out looking for targets and what have you to bring in the heavy duty stuff on him, he was on a river bank or a creek bank. As you know, the vegetation was over the sides of the creek and the rivers up close to the banks. And he was on a bank, exhausted from his efforts of escaping the second time. He turned over, there was this little bubble helicopter, I forget, a Loach, flying, looking for targets. And the crew chief spotted him on the sandbar. And he says to the pilot and the co-pilot, look, we got a Charlie down there, and they're going to make a run on him. As they get close, the troopers rolls over on his back, and he's got a beard. I said, that's not normal for Viet Cong unless it's a Ho Chi Minh chin beard. So they dropped down, landed, and crew chief got off, put him in a helicopter. And I forget his name at the moment, but he's in all the stories about PWs. Anyhow, they took off, trying to take off, but couldn't get a run with the extra weight. So the crew chief got the M60, hit in the branches of the whatever trees were in the vegetation on the banks. And they took off and took him back to land on Route 20, about 100 meters from where he had been captured on the road there, trying to do the job for the airstrip. And so he told me that. He said, sir, it blew my mind. It took me back the Loach and put me on a medevac right about where I had been captured. And I said, well, that's a roundabout thing. Those things happen. So then, like I said, I saw him again in Fort Ord, California later. And he said, well, I know you tried to get me. I said, well, I had some people I was trying to get you, but it just didn't work. So anyhow, then we built the camp successfully and got a few mortar rounds here and there, but nothing terrible. And then one time an inspection party from higher up with the starch fatigues and all that and shiny boots came out to see the results of the camp. And there was a colonel with him, and I gave him instructions, sir, we get any fire, get into this bunker here inside. We were inside the camp perimeter by now. And anything happens, please do. About that time, a round goes off, pow, and it hits behind me. I think it was a VC from the striker force that's trying to get me. But the counterpart then at the time, he also had been with the Viet Minh in North Vietnam. He ran up to on the perimeter where the shot came from. He found the guy that just shot him, and he beat the piss out of him with a stick because he said, "I should kill you." But anyhow, all the visiting party, they hit the ground, which is good. But I told him we start getting mortar rounds, get into this deep pit. And so just things like that, there's so much to tell, but try to condense it all what happened at Thien.
Over here, Lou.
We had a.
Lou, let me break.
Is that enough?
Yeah, we'll come back to this point.
All right.
See, Bill Shelton has showed up here, and he was on the original team. He led the original team and opened up the camp at Trang Suc. Bill, why don't you tell us a little bit about that time?
Well, I came out to Trang Sup in December of '65, I think it was, and we went through. Let's see, Herb Hoff was the team sergeant,
Bottom.
and we went into early '66, and we got to talking about moving the team out of Trang Sup and putting a new camp up the road in the southern part of War Zone C, which turned out to be Trai B.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a couple of interesting months before we got into the active planning phase for Trai B, and I'm trying to.
The number of this road here.
Off the team sergeant went elsewhere. I guess he de-rosed. I don't recall. And
No.
a guy by the name of Teddy Pruitt. Teddy was a
Oh,
senior.
this is somewhere else. This is Trang Sup.
They wanted to get into the team sergeant business, so he came up and took Herb Hoff's place as a team sergeant. And Teddy worked out real well. Teddy was a very steady guy, very hardworking. Established good rapport with the LLDB, and everybody on the team liked him. So, Teddy was a solid citizen. Unfortunately, out in an operation shortly after he came to Trang Sup, he was hit with a claymore and medevaced, and we were without a team until Roy Matthews came in. Roy was a quiet guy, steady as could be. Couldn't ask for a better guy to have with you. And we got into the planning phase for Tri B. And of course, everybody said, build a camp. Hell, we've never built a camp before. And maybe we could use a little help from some of the expertise up at Group. And I think they did. I think they gave us did what they were able to do in the planning phase. And then at some point in time, and I'm not sure when, I think it was probably May of '66, there was a detachment came in to Trang Sup to take our place, and they moved us out of the team house into the supply building. And we had two teams in the same camp, which wasn't the greatest arrangement, but we did get along. And I don't remember the names of anybody on that team or the team number, detachment number, of the people that came in to replace us at Trang Sup. I think we were pretty well concentrated on figuring out what we wanted to do, where we wanted to do it up the road, and we finally made the initial combat assault into Tri B, which was the above the two small villages on whatever the hell the main route was. I don't recall anymore. There's a lot of things I don't recall. I'm 86, and I'm pushing the envelope as far as memory is concerned. So some of my stuff may be a little bit scattered and haphazard, but I do remember the key element. And we had to design the camp, and the original camp, as we had it designed and began to construct it, was I don't know what people told me was a traditional star-shaped affair, and we had the LLDB and the strike force, the CIDG from Trang Sup, were the active builders. We did have an engineer advisory team. I think there was about 8 guys with some heavy equipment that came in and worked their backs off. I've never seen a bunch of guys work as hard as they did. They were super, and they not only advised, but they operated the equipment and just did a super job. We also had the Third Corps Mike Force out of Benoit, up there to run operations outside the camp while we were, so that we could concentrate on doing the building. And that was the original camp at Trai B. Now my second tour, I wound up with the 25th Infantry Division. Started off with the 1st Brigade down there in the Thien base camp, and I did have the opportunity as the S2 to fly up the road and see what I thought was going to be the camp at Trai B, only to find out a raw patch of ground where it had been bulldozed out and moved over to where I don't know the name of the new location, but it had been moved. So that in a nutshell was my A-team experience with 323 down there at Trang. Moved up the road to Trai B and had a hell of a time. I had good team. As a matter of fact, in looking at the addressees on the warning order, I noticed Wendell Goff, who was the senior medic, and Frank Chirico, who was the team XO. And I didn't know whether my computer skills were going to support my participation in this Zoom meeting. So right before lunch today, I sent them both an email saying that I'd hope to see them, and that if not, we'd to give me a call and let's renew acquaintances. So I think, Steve, this is a super. In looking at the information that you sent, that I clicked on to open up, I'm amazed and impressed with the amount of detail and the amount of work that you've put into this, and also remembering back to that initial phone call and subsequent correspondence back in, I guess it was 2012, 10 years ago. So I'm gonna take all the information that I can on the 3rd Corps Tactical Zone, because I did spend some time down at C-Team, and I'm going to go through it and try to support your effort and give you as good a recollection as my favorite memory and as my files will support and help me out with this worthwhile endeavor. I'm impressed. As a matter of fact,
all that information comes from all you guys out there who've been sending me the information and helping me put it together for all these years. But this is a really good opportunity, because now, instead of just being lines on a screen, here you are in person and talking to each other. And we have COVID-19 to thank for that.
That's what I'm amazed at. You know, I had a very vague idea of what you were trying to do, and then when I saw the result in what you put together in the first and second recent emails, I'm absolutely staggered. So anything I can do to support and continue and bring back the memories, and especially being able to talk to guys who were there, who were on the ground and could tell the stories, like Luis Lopez, I think it's a staggering accomplishment. You can give yourself a lot of pats on the back for it.
Like the story in Shakespeare, Henry or whatever. You know, the people who aren't here today are the ones who are going to regret it. We had 40 people here on the email list, and we've got 11 here right now. So those who missed it really are missing a good thing. And as the word gets out, that hopefully they'll join in if they have another opportunity at another camp. The
Dressler, Richard Dressler.
The pictures are up on some of the camps on my website. But everybody should remember, on the email I sent you, the addresses in the 2 box are all your friends that I found. If you want to talk to them, you go to email I sent you and see if you got their name and just email them. Or if you want the whole group to get together, you want to set your own Zoom meeting up, just click on the names and send them out. A nice package. Anyway, we've now moved from Trang Sup to Tri B. Any more people from Tri B? Coy, were you a Tri B?
No.
No.
Today is my anniversary when I got shot in Vietnam, only I wasn't at Thien when I got shot. I was shot and medevac back to the States from Song Bay. And today's my anniversary.
Song Bay, different camp.
You were at Song Bay. I was at Bujimop in 64, 65.
Early.
Yeah, I was there on the May the 11th when we got overrun. Or I thought we were overrun. They thought we did good, but it's all a matter of how you look at it. Corey
What's
Pierce.
your name?
Pierce.
All right. Yeah.
See,
Who was that senior medic there at Song Bay? I can't remember his name.
Benning.
Okay. All right.
Matter of fact, the last thing he done was got the bleeding stopped in my arm, and he was killed about 10 minutes later.
Yeah. I,
Oh, moving car. Yeah.
God bless you. I'm glad you made it through.
It seems that the rest of the people here are mostly from Thien. I'll switch over to the map and somebody can pick up and decide who wants to start the conversation. Dave, I think you probably were among the other people, one of the earlier people at Thien.
Me?
Yeah, Alex, which you came first?
Mike, you were there before me, I think, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there April of 68. Al got there probably May, something.
Yep. That's the two of us.
Okay, here's Thien. And I think that's an extension of Highway 22, which was running
Right.
through Tri B and going all the way down to Trang Sup. So the camps just moved out 22 as far as they could go.
Mm-hmm.
So the maps are kind of nice, but you guys live in an area where the geography was all flat.
Yeah.
It was flat, but you had the triple canopy. You could go out in the jungle and you could only see about 5 feet in any direction. You get firefights and you never saw the enemy, just explosions,
Right.
bullets going all everywhere, and you never saw anyone.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Just got to pick up the litter afterwards.
So all this green, dark green, is triple canopy jungle at that time.
Just about.
Just,
And
yeah,
we-
just about.
Of clearings on the
Northwest.
map. I always wanted to make sure I knew where I was in case I had to call an artillery. So the LADB, we sort of tell them what direction we were going, and we go from one clearing to the next, so we could have an idea where we were located at.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other camps, even Tri B had an airstrip there. This one doesn't seem to have an airstrip at all.
Tinian, it was right on
Yeah.
the road 22.
We use the road.
You use the road.
You use the road. Oh, yeah.
That's what Captain Lopez talked about, the laterite pit. They used the laterite pit down the road. It was probably about 15 miles down Highway 22, and they brought it up and they made the runway right on 22.
And guys, it was covered with PSP, pierced steel planking, when I was there in '69, but it was the road.
Okay. What is this little thing over here? The little box.
Turnaround point. It was the north end of the runway.
Okay.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Then in 1970, they lengthened that runway and reinforced it so they could bring in the troops before we went into Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank Luis for building that camp. After I was there from after Joe from November till 69 till about June of 70. Then I went back to the C team, and I visited most of the camps in that region. And Thien was about the best that I've seen.
Who's speaking?
Irv.
Oh,
Barnes.
okay. All right.
I followed you.
Yeah.
Irv, this is Dick Dressler. I didn't get there until January of 70, but I was only there until March. So we were probably there at the same time. I was a commo guy on the team at the time. But I don't.
I'm sorry to ask again, who's speaking?
This is Dick Dressler.
And you were there from when to when, Dick?
I was there, got there in January 1970, and then I went home. I de-rosed in March. I tried to extend it 6 months, but they wouldn't let me. So I left in March of 70.
Oh, but you were not there in 69.
No, sir. I didn't get there. I was at Train Sup from, I think, July 69 to January or December. And I could not get along with Captain Sims. He tried to court-martial me, actually. They threw it out. And I requested for the projects, and they ended up sending me to Thien. And that's where I left from eventually.
Well, you know, during the time you were at Thien, I was in Thien at the B team because I got pulled back to be the funds officer in Thien.
The rotten job.
It's a rotten job.
The time Sergeant
Shopper, go visit.
Time Sergeant Train Sup, Dan Tant. Anybody know him?
Again?
Dan Tant. He was the team sergeant at Train Sup, A-301, when I first got there. And then we had an incident in December of 69, and it was a political incident. And anyway, he was transferred to Loch Lin, I believe it was, and I was supposed to go there, but they sent me to Thien instead. But Master Sergeant, he was the team sergeant at Train Sup when I got there, and I never forgot him. He was a wonderful guy, very knowledgeable, and I learned a lot from him at the time.
Hey, Dick, were you at Train Sup when somebody wired a blasting cap to the refrigerator door?
I recall that. I'd be surprised because we did a lot of crazy shit then.
All kinds of blasting actions.
Yeah, well, we heard about it.
We used to shoot out the soy sauce and I don't know what salt and pepper was off of the dining table in the tent house once in a while, and Captain Sims took exception to it, but Team Sergeant didn't care. He pretty much ran everything, so we did what we wanted to for our entertainment, so to speak.
Yeah.
Memories.
I got a question.
Oh,
Hello, Alex here.
I have a question. Where's your question?
At the beginning, Mike and I got there in the early '68, and that 105 battery that was that there from the very beginning when you were building it? And what's the story with that? They finally took it out after a few months, but for a new established camp, I imagine that the 105 battery was dropped in during the construction. Was that true?
Louis?
Say again?
Was the 105 battery brought in when you were building a camp?
let me think just a moment. We had 175s from a distance, and 105s weren't there initially, but soon thereafter, yes, 105s
Right,
were
that-
brought in a battery.
Yeah.
And they were good. They were good.
Yeah, they were really good. One fella got really hurt with a pre-fire
Yeah.
on
When were you there, Alexander? When were you
I was
there?
I was there at the beginning of May '68 till the end of September, right after the attack in '68.
Yeah, I left.
And then I
left
went
in
down to
June.
15.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah.
They were
we
there at
had
the
word
beginning, and I can't remember when they went away, but
Those
Yeah.
105s were still there in 1970 because the artillery people left, and so I got assigned to coordinate the fire direction center. So as far as I know, they were there till the end, but they were there when I left in June.
Yeah,
no, they weren't. They
we had
weren't
them
there
too.
for- They took them out in '68,
I
and they
see.
must have put them back.
What they did is they took the Americans out and they put the Vietnamese in charge of the guns.
Yes.
The Vietnamese were terrible. When you call in fire support, they killed some CIDG and they came back and shot the artillery crew. And when I was trying to train them on orders and in the 105s,
Right.
I'd show what the bubble was and it would be off, maybe an eighth of an inch. They go, TT, doesn't matter. Well, at 11,000 meters, it mattered a lot, but they didn't understand it.
Yeah. At Tri B, we had Vietnamese, 2 105s. And then I don't know if they were the ones that went over to Thien, but initially we did not have the 105s, but soon thereafter, yes. And, they were good. And we had an aerolator, a water jobber from the engineers. The first thing the Viet Cong aimed at was a aerolator. Boom, knocked it out. So there was a well that had been a well that was dug by the Viet Cong there at the junction of 20 and 22. And we used that initially to supply our drinking water. So finally, another one aerolator was repaired or came in, and we started using that again. Incidentally, we had a company come from the Trang B-55, and they were with us all the time. And then, gosh, later in '70, I went and became the XO and CO of B-55. And ironically, the unit from B-55 was there with us, along with other units from the different camps to build the camp. And Bucky Burris, I don't know if you know him, he's a crazy guy. He wrote the book entitled Mountain Yard, and he was with me there at Thien, but he didn't remember that. All he remembers that we had a hell of a good opportunity to kill Viet Cong, which I think I did, because I called in the artillery and then brought it in 50 meters in closer than what we had designed it for. So we got a lot of them.
Hey,
Anyhow,
Steve,
that's ironic that Bucky Burris later in 1970, we joined hands again together after Thien. Thien, we hoped that it was going to be a good camp. We got word that the NVA were coming with the tanks, and so we had to try to build some anti-tank stuff along the roads and in the flanks of the road, Route 22, and got that done with the engineers' help. But I don't know what happened later, if any attacks were made by the NVA. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hey, Steve, I had some photos. How would I show them?
Do you have them with you right now?
Yes, they do.
Down at the bottom of your screen, you have a green button that says share screen.
I don't have that on my, I have it's not a computer, it's my wife's iPad.
Yeah, that's what we have too.
Me too.
Somebody has an iPad, you know where the share screen button?
Share screen. Everybody's looking.
Yeah, right.
That's
Even
your
the young-
screen.
even
Oh,
the
share
young-
It says share if you tap on the top, there's an up arrow in green that says share content.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if that's good.
I don't see it in mine, yeah. I don't see
Oh,
that.
okay.
But you were showing the maps and stuff like
You want to
that.
show pictures, Dad? We can do that.
That's what the share allowed other people to show the share screen. If it's on your computer, you can then show it.
I do
Now-
this-
Oh, okay.
Okay, if you just have a picture, all you can do is just stick it up in front of your camera.
Yeah.
And hope for the best.
Oh, okay, let me try that. Let me try that.
Zoom in.
Can people see that?
No, you're not.
It's not, Mike, put it in the middle. Put it where your face is.
Go down here.
You can't.
No. Put
I
it in
have
front
no
of your
idea.
face, Mike.
This is definitely not a see one, do one, teach
Oh,
one.
boy.
Oh, I tell you, yeah. Now, give me a.
How did we get out
25.
alive? Mike, put it in front of your face.
Oh, here.
There you go. Now
Okay.
closer to there you go.
Okay.
Let me zoom in on this.
This is a picture of the team house after a 122 rocket came through on September 1st when they started the siege that lasted almost 30 days.
Yes, it
And
did.
when it came through, there was like, PSB, that was probably 12 by 12s, 4 layers of sandbags, 2 inches of cement. And unfortunately, when it came through, the medic, Benito Contreras, was sleeping below that.
Yep.
He got hit in the back. I yelled Boxy, and he came out when it came through. And it was unbelievable. Besides that coming through, an 82 deuce mortar round came through because we found the fin assembly inside the team house. Wounded 5 of us, and luckily 3 beds were empty because there were shrapnel the size of watermelons and people's beds.
Like this. That would be wet.
I remember that hole still being there when I got there.
And the camp was right here. This is
I have another picture here. This is a picture of
like this.
Thien, if you can see it. That's when they were still working on it, making it. The engineers put that sign up that says Thien, and then there's some barbed wire.
Engineer battalion.
Yeah, most of the camp when I got there were 55-gallon drums along the team house, ammunition boxes, some sandbags, but the most important thing that was built was the clubhouse.
Yes.
The bar.
But the most
The
important
bar.
club.
Here's a picture of a 122 mortar that this is the rocket that came in, and one of them that didn't go off. See how big the warhead is there?
Clark made me go out and take a picture of one of those
Yeah.
with his camera.
Ash can.
That's crazy.
That's a 107 ash can, I think.
Oh, it might have been. Here's some of the friends who didn't make it when they attacked the camp. So I took all these photos, and then the 5th group headquarters came down finally after we asked for help for 3 weeks, and then they wanted to confiscate my film, and I told them I went out and took those pictures. You're not getting them, and they had a colonel try to take them away, and I refused to give it to them.
Good.
Yeah, here's some more of the stuff we captured. You can see the machine gun, all the
anti-aircraft.
Those big what do you call the round things there? It's like they set off manually. Here's some more. That's probably a 107 there. More mines, all the weapons.
Bigger than that.
Another vision of that.
What's your name and where are you at?
Mike Winslow, Thien.
Yeah, but where are you at now?
San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, 49ers.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah.
Look, I have another website besides Special Forces books. I have a website called Special Forces Photos.
You told me about that. I have the card. Yeah.
If you go there, it takes me about 24 hours before I see your name.
Yeah.
You have to use your name, like Mike.
Okay.
And say, the guy from San Francisco.
Yeah.
If you're not a name I recognize, you're a Russian bot, and I toss you out. But as soon as I recognize you, I approve you. There are folders out, they call albums for each camp, and you can upload files from your computer. And those
Is that www.specialforcesphotos.com?
That's correct.
You gave me the card when I saw you down in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, go up there, sign in with your name, and then I approve you, and then you can post your photos on the website. You can write your captions on it, and it's important you do that. But then somebody else can come back and say, I was the third guy from the left.
I got you. Okay.
Yep.
Really good place. And it's hands off from my point of view. I don't have to sit there and post your picture, which would take me the rest of my life.
That'll work. That's good.
So
Steve.
an interesting story. We were under attack, like I said, for 3 weeks. And one time they fired gas, tear gas into the camp. I'm assuming with RPG-7 or something. And it hit right by the doorway. So when he came into the doorway of the team house, my room as the XO was right to the right.
Right there.
And I had a gas mask hanging on the wall. So it was midnight, something like that, maybe 10 o'clock at night. I grabbed my gas mask and stepped out of my room. And lo and behold, a hand went around my throat and my gas mask was ripped off. And I looked over and Al had it in his face. So I pulled off Al and eventually, like buddy breathing, we traded back and forth because nobody had a gas mask but me. So then the Army sent us probably 500 gas masks just in case we needed them for the CIDG. It was that night. They would have overrun us. Remember that, Al?
Oh yeah, but it's funny. We did everything during the day. We hunker down at night, string up a hammock and between 2 trees and stay there when we're around an op or something. So it was a real nighttime, daytime situation. If we had a firefight in the daytime, because we'd be moving, we'd walk into where they were, and at night they'd walk into where we were. So it was a strange thing, and you had to expect the differences. And I'll tell you, it's much better getting hit in the daytime, I think. The worst one I had was a nighttime, because Mike and I never went on an op together, I don't think.
No.
But man, I had some, because the officers never went together, except one time I went with Clark. I got to tell you a story about that one. But anyway, that's for later. The greatest thing was, Mike, remember when they were using the F-4s flying for us? Somebody shot the napalm on a wing, it went off, and boom, there it was. Orange and white chutes went into the woods, and the pilots, we brought them back, and they ended up giving us all their emergency gear and stuff. And what I got from them was 38 caliber pistol tracer rounds, unheard of, but I guess pilots can use those for some reason. So I had old 38 pistol, with the broken hammer and the whole thing. And I'd usually take that out on ops. So about third night in, we're strung up out there. I got my hammock. I'm sitting there with the radio on my tummy, and everybody's kind of close in because you don't want to get too far. We can't see anything. Mike was right. Is when you're in the jungly part, that's it. You can't see very far or anything. And then lo and behold, bam, a company walked right into us. Bam, bam, bam. The perimeter guys are like firing their asses off. Rounds are going off everywhere, and nobody knows what's happening. We can't see. I don't know. They didn't expect to see us. They didn't know where the hell we were, I don't think, or they would have used some strategy besides bumping into us. But anyway, I got on the radio right away, and comic guy says, "Hey, wait a minute. We have a moonbeam in the area." I says, "What the hell is a moonbeam?" It was, the C-130s with the 20 mic Gatling guns things. Man,
we call it Spectre.
Well, but this guy was Moonbeam. That was his call sign. You want to hear Spectre. Moonbeam was designated. He says, "Okay, we're right," because they were flying to the border, on the Cambodian border, and we were west towards the border. And here it comes. Zoom, he's over the thing, and he says, "I see the firefight. I see where things are shooting. I need to know exactly where you are, and then we can take some action. I can't just fire into where everybody is." So I'm thinking, I says, "Holy shit, I got this 38 tracer round." So I loaded them into the B5. I think I had 3 of them or something. And he says, "Okay, guys, hang on. I'm gonna shoot straight above our site, and I'm right in the middle of a group of people. That's us. You got to go about 50 meters north and fire your ass off. So I says, here he comes, 1, 2, 3, bam. And out of the barrel, wiggling like an old top out of a circus cannon, because the gun was probably used by 50 people before me. It was passed on. Anyway, he says, I got it. What the I says, good. 50 meters north of that. And holy, he ripped up. I mean, unbelievable. I don't know how anybody survived. They disengaged, and the next morning we went out there, and there were backpacks and all kinds of other stuff that was hanging around. And, you know, we brought it in, and they sent down to the B team pictures and letters and stuff. And it was an F4 guy whose safety equipment saved my ass, and God knows how many other people, because it was a company. It was they had the documentation from the backpacks and stuff that we found. And we got some dried fish out of it, but you know, that's about it. But yeah, the nighttime and daytime is a completely different thing. So, you know, in the daytime, one time, I don't know, Mike, if you remember this, early on, I don't know, it was May, June, something like that. There was a French journalist that got helicoptered. I was the sucker who had to take him out with my eye.
When his camera popped out trying to load the film.
Oh man, no, this is like the second day in. We're in the daytime. We're walking, boom. We walked into somebody, boom, everybody starts firing, shooting. The big French guy goes crazy. He lays hanging out of the back of a tree. RPGs are going off on the other side of the tree. He's completely freaked out. We had this, right after that, we disengaged because it was probably just some OP of theirs or something. There was a foxhole nearby or something. Anyway, we had to drag his ass back out of there. 2 days into a 5-day op. And he got on the emergency dialogue. I'm a diplomat. I got to get out of here or something. You know, I'm working for the French guy. It was, that was the only time we ever had anybody from outside come in.
Yeah, in fact, I have photos of him, but he came and he said, most journalists, they write the story in the bar in Saigon. I am a Frenchman. I want to go to the field and see how the action is.
Yeah. Mr. Balls turned around like a scared rat. Oh yeah. But that was a funny daytime.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And boy, there was, I don't know if you ever, I don't know if Clark ever told you, right? Because he didn't document this, but the only operation I went out with him on, we went
Who?
Bill Clark. Does he?
William E. Clark.
Yes.
Super
Mr.
soldier.
Lover. Yes. Well, anyway, we're going north, and all of a sudden, one of the guys up ahead, he says, boom, he falls like in a shallow foxhole near a clearing. I go, what the hell is this? Thank God there was nobody in it. We were able to all exposed. So we kept sniffing around and going forward, and then there was a tree line, and there's still no action, nothing happening. So we kept pushing forward, got through the tree line, and there was a little path. And then things opened up, and it was a base camp thing. I'm talking like professional wells. I'm talking about meeting rooms, chalkboards, chairs, the whole deal. Maybe 1,000 mortar rounds, you know, with a canvas cover on them near the well. Big production, beautiful place. I mean, the canopy was perfect. You can't spot them from the air. I threw I took one of my grenades and I threw it down the well. Boink! And it goes, boom. You know, it doesn't make any sound down there. It was a deep deluxe well. Clark's looking around. He says, "Let's get the hell out of here." He didn't document where it was. He didn't tell anybody about it. We could have bombed the shit out of that place. And I'm sure it was used when the attack started on August 31st. Which, by the way, when poor Contreras got hit, and you guys did, and you showed the pictures. I never saw the inside pictures. I was on the op. I was just coming in the last day, and I was in the wedge there, the short road, just right outside the camp. And he says, "Guys, we'll go in the morning. It's getting dark and stuff." I'm just laying there. All of a sudden at midnight, a rocket launcher with, I don't know how many. It sounded like 20. I'm never near one. But I got on. I says, "Slinky 3-8, we got some serious incoming." He says, "What?" And then all of a sudden, I heard everything go off. And then minutes later, there's all confusion. He says, we got a kilo India Alpha. I says, "Don't." Who was it? They gave the medic sign. I says, "Oh shit, man, Denny." Well, anyway, we finally got in the next morning, and on the road, you could see the tracks, the foot tracks it was a huge group walked right down the road by the camp. I mean, more than a company, it was a lot of people. And we finally got in, and we had Benny in the doorway, in his body bag. It was just the saddest thing, man. And I saw the wreckage inside the team house. And the worst thing, Mike, was remember we had cases of beer also lined up.
Oh, yeah.
And those got destroyed, leaked and everything. And you're walking
Mixed with
in
blood. Huh.
your blood and beer and your feet are sticking to the ground. It was just the most horrific thing. And, but they got his boots on, and he was a really good medic. Funny. And Mike knows, because he was in the same, that's where the medic's office was right where the expo room was. Yeah, he was a funny guy. He didn't take any crap either from the.
Oh no.
Oh no, that medicine was his charge.
No,
he was
very good.
Yes, he was. But yeah, that's I'm confused about why Bill didn't report in that stuff. And I didn't. He was the CEO. I mean, I couldn't.
Artillery and blowing up those mortar rounds.
We could have done right. We could have reached it, or at least all in there. It was too bad. But anyway, that was possibly used in the final assault.
Sure.
I'm sure it was, because that's the direction they came from, the northeast, Yeah, so.
Exactly, yeah, the northeast, right. Yes.
Yep, yeah, that's exactly where this place was. So it was probably, where because it was, the meeting room probably only had like 10 chairs and a couple of chalkboards and a desk, that kind of thing. So it was probably for leadership stuff rather than troop usage. I don't know. But anyway, that's
Joe,
that's strangeness.
Yeah.
You, and then you were followed by Ev Barnes. He took your place. So you're covered the 69 and he covers the 70 period.
Yep.
So let's hear a little bit about the later days of the camp.
Yeah, I'd like to as well, because after I was gone, Mike was there for a while afterwards. After the attack, I think it was on the 27th or 28th. See, and the night of the attack, Clark sent me down to the B team to coordinate supplies and stuff. So I'm down there, and all of a sudden, radio guy goes, "Lepak, your team's under attack." I went, "Holy shit. What's going on?" I kept track of the whole thing, Mike, on the radio. And man, the next morning I flew in. When you were getting your stars. It was great.
What year is that?
68.
68.
September.
End of September, 68.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they had the fella coming in and giving everybody the bronze stars. It was great. Yeah. So they did that right away.
Tell us about 69, Joe.
I have a couple of questions first. On your chart, what are the yellow bars on people and what are the red bars?
The yellow bars are people who are in two camps. There's a camp move from Tri B to from Tranks up to Tri B, and then from Tri B to Thien. If they were in two camps, I try to indicate that with a highlighted time frame.
What about the red?
The red, I think the only one red is Dave Fetters, and
yeah, he came out
because he had a long time agreed to help out, do some historical work on that. So at each camp, I have one person marked as red as the go-to guy.
Well, you've got in any given time period, you mean? Because you've got a number of red bars.
Okay, let me look at that here.
Yeah, I got a copy of it here.
No, they're gray. They're gray bars.
Oh, they're showing up red on
Gray
me.
bars.
All right, last question about your color scheme. I'm looking at Boxy Miller, William P. Miller, and you've got a big blue box, and if there's something written in it, I'm not able to see it.
Okay, I have to update that a little bit. Those colors in the status column were notes to me as to where I have to go looking for people. There, in the newer version, which I'll post probably later tomorrow, I know where Miller is, and he's a recipient of this email.
Okay, and he's not, I was afraid that I couldn't see DEC in there because
No.
almost everybody I know is deceased,
Well,
according to you.
apparently not
These-
everybody.
Clearly not, right.
Now,
That's
the
my wife.
dead body, who I have really no clues about because they were too early to have social security numbers, and their names are almost untraceable.
Yeah.
Right.
I've
Yeah,
done
yeah,
a
we had
fair job
different
of
numbers
checking
too.
them out,
Yeah.
but I have most people's social security, and I was able to, if I couldn't find them another way, like, people named Robert G. Smith, if I didn't have a social, I'd never find them.
Huh.
But
Oh, and did anybody know Smitty, Robert G. Smith?
he is alive, and the email address on the letter you got.
Perfect.
Oh, great. And he was he was from Texas. So is that the same
Yeah.
one?
Yes.
Oh, good. The first firefight that I got into there, I medevac Boxy Miller. And then we had to march back through the jungle and came out on the north end of the, the airstrip, which is the highway, and Smitty was the radio operator, and he had followed the entire firefight on the radio and had listened to me calling in medevacs and everything. And I got to the end of the airstrip where the clearing started, and there was Smitty on the airstrip, and he ran toward me and he jumped into my arms because he was so glad to see me back. So that always cracked me up. I had a little trouble with your picture of the team house because, and I'd have to compliment Louis on this. It was 2 rows of Connex containers lined up facing each other on a concrete pad. And the thing that connected them was a whole bunch of Air Force speed pallets, because every time an Air Force guy would come to the camp, he would piss and moan that we had robbed their speed pallets, which were expensive. And I'm aware of all the different layers of sandbags and concrete and chicken wire. And then on top, then there was 3 or 4 rows of the empty, well, maybe not empty, they might have had sand in them, but used ammo boxes, and then sandbags on top of that, and then concrete on top of that again. And the standoff always worked, and so I guess that round that came through was just monstrous. But
122.
Yep, it was launched from a launcher. It went right over my head, and I called it in before.
Well, the mortars never came through.
Nope.
One of our dogs was hiding happened to be up under the standoff at one time when a mortar round hit, and it just destroyed her mind. She was never the same.
Yeah. No, these were rockets that hit the first time they got. They were rockets.
But
a big launcher.
Picture, it looks like it's crenellated. The galvanized roofing is what it looks like.
It was PSP above the beams. They had the beams there. They laid PSP, then they put other stuff.
Now, PSP has got a whole bunch of circular holes in it. That was what was out on the airstrip. Right. But the speed pallets are completely smooth. They're wood coated with or faced with aluminum, which is why they're so expensive. And your picture doesn't look like that. And
no, it wasn't. It was PSP.
Well, is the picture taken in the team house? I mean, in the bar?
It's a team house.
In the team house.
No, but in the bar.
No, the bar was not in the team house.
Yeah, our bar, you walked right down the hall and turned the corner and you were in the bar.
What corner?
The bar was about 100 yards from the team house.
Right.
In what year were you there?
Not in 69.
No, not in 69.
Bar was attached to the team house in 69.
Yeah.
When I got,
Probably because of security reasons.
Right. It wasn't that way when we were there.
Bar with the LDB lieutenant, he's about 6'4", and we had a movie projector there, and we were showing some movies to them. They were there, and all of a sudden he took the 45 out of his holster, put it to my head, said he was going to kill me because there were issues with the pay, and I was fighting it. And then he fired it right next to my ear and went into the movie projector. And then all the other guys that were in there with their rifles, cocked their rifles. And me and another man, we just walked out. I said, don't run, just walk, just keep walking slowly. We got back to the team house, and I called in the 175 rounds around the camp just to show them that I was God. But yeah, they might have moved it because of that.
Well, Dave will remember that you go around the corner into the bar, and when you step out the back door of the bar, that's where the piss tubes were.
Piss tubes.
Which we,
Luxury.
of course, drinking beer, we spent a lot of time going out there.
I know where those tubes were. Our bar had, I mean, it was like a bar in a commercial restaurant. You could sit down, it was probably 10 tables in there. Some tables could sit 10 people. The bar was probably 20 feet long. It was unbelievable. You could hold
It's
dances.
not that large.
Joe, when did you get there?
When did I get there?
Yeah.
July of '69.
Oh, that was
I
way after
left,
we're
I
gone.
left the first week, August of '69. So you and I should have crossed paths, but I don't remember seeing you.
No, and I don't remember you either, Dave.
That's no problem.
But you know, we're all the same, about the same age. That's not surprising. Oh, where is Barnes? Is Barnes online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Siciliano replaced you. So that means that actually you and I knew each other also, but
I knew
I'm
you
sorry.
at Fort Bragg.
Huh?
And then I knew I replaced you because you cleared all the bad guys out of the Tien area before I got there. And then I knew you when you were at the B team, but I forgot about that. I was actually talking to your buddy the other day, the one that you got in trouble with down in Texas about 76.
I
figured
stand on that. I got in trouble in Texas about what?
I think, I don't know about what. He didn't tell me that, but anyway, I was talking to him and we were trying to figure out where you were. And I thought you were at Benoit with us, but you were at Thien.
I was at Tien, but I also ended up in Benoit because I extended and I went.
Yeah. And so then so that's when you got to know this guy a little bit. Anyway, later on.
Who was the guy?
I'm not going to tell you, Joe. You're going to have to figure it out.
Oh my goodness.
You got in trouble with somebody down in Texas, I think, at a career school. Well, you didn't get in much trouble.
Sounds like a need to know situation.
Exactly.
Well, you got me baffled right now.
The intel's on your screen. You just aren't seeing it. Anyway, I followed Joe at Tien, and there was not a lot going on after that until we started poking around Cambodia.
Yeah.
And then I thought we were going to go kick some butt. And I didn't find out until many years ago when I read a book called Memoirs of a Viet Cong that the Ko Sa Vin was right there, just north of our camp between us and Khartoum. And other headquarters is there, just a few miles in Cambodia. That's why you ran into so much trouble that time. They were going home.
Yeah, the NVA regiment was going to Cambodia for R&R, and we thought we were fighting our usual 60 to 90 VC in the area, and we ran right into that regiment, and it was a 2 or 3 day firefight. And then we had the Mike Force came in, the legs came in, and so all of that was. We were heavily fortified and occupied there for a while, and you must have been there at that time, Irv. weren't you?
I'm outside, so a truck went by. I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Oh, well, you must have been there at the time that we had the Mike Force there and we were trying to respond to that regiment.
No, I talked to you about it later, right? No, I didn't get there till November.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Okay. Well, by that time, everything had cooled down, I guess.
Everything had cooled down. Yeah, we had little skirmishes. I always told my friend who was at Khartoum that they were the training for the mortarmen and we were the training for the infantry.
No, true.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so you were probably back to our usual 60 VC.
Yeah.
Did you know Rod Hayworth?
Oh yeah, I know him pretty well.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to get a hold of him right now.
And I was not able to find him either. So if anybody's got a contact with him, make sure to contact me.
Yeah, Rod was Khartoum, but according to Steve's charts here, he moved to Thien.
Well, there's a story about that.
Okay.
He was at Thien, I think, because he had been at a different camp. I think he was on his way to Khartoum just to say goodbye. But he was at my camp heading for the C team when I got orders to go to the C team.
Mhm.
I was dressed ready for operation. He took my operation for me.
Oh, really?
So I could pack up my stuff and get ready to go back.
Yeah.
And actually one of our Vietnamese sergeants, LLDB, got killed on that operation. And I always told Rod he saved my life because I thought that was meant for me.
Yeah, I understand that.
He likes that.
Well, I ended up going to the career course with him at Benning, and then
Oh, that's where it was. That's not Texas, it was Georgia. Okay.
Oh, well now, yeah, now I know who you're talking about. He and I low crawled through the lobby of the hotel.
Okay.
And had to deal with the police about that.
Yeah.
It was a great night. Oh, and I'll tell you something he may not have told you. I got him home. He was just shit-faced drunk. And I got him back to the hotel, not hotel, but the apartment complex where he was renting for the career course. And I found out the next day that he hadn't made it any further than the door. And right inside the front door was a chair. And he sat down in the chair and that was it. It was lights out. And then the next morning, the way he woke up was his wife was leaning over with her mouth right by his ear saying, "Did you have a good time?"
How do you?
I don't know if he told me about that, but I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you ask him about it.
Oh, I'll ask Karen.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sure she'd remember.
By the way, Schmitty was with me when we first got in contact, and I don't remember when it was, maybe in March or something. And he always used to tell me that everybody should have a Tiwi, and I was his. So I think that's why he ran out to greet you coming back, because you were his Tiwi at the time.
Yeah, I was at the time. Yeah, Steve, you got me as a first lieutenant, and no, I was only a second lieutenant at the time I was in the camp.
Irv, you were there during the Cambodia incursion. What was the nature of what was going on in your camp during that time?
Mostly we were support.
Okay.
We were there while I thought there were elements of two different divisions, but I know the 25th was there, and they were just building up and building up and building up right alongside of our runway. Basically, they built up a kind of a base camp. And while that, I'm not sure about the timing, but I think it was April 1st. There was a battalion fire base to the west and a little north, and they got pretty much overrun, I think, one night. I remember watching that firefight with puff and everything coming. And so everybody knew that we were building up and moving up and putting in those fire bases and stuff. And then the American units went in first, And I went in, oh, I don't know, after there a week or so. Mostly we just did security for them. I can tell you the first time I went in, we rode on those APCs, and driving through that jungle with that, I was totally lost. And it was my greatest fear besides being captured. And I got off there, and when they were unloading, and the captain said, "You know where you are?" And I said, "I don't have a clue." And he said, "Right here," and pointed on the map. And I looked at that map and watched him drive away and looked around and thought, it doesn't look right. So I fired a timed smoke and I couldn't see it. He was a mile from where he thought he was. I had to go find a little better visibility and call in a different round in order to get some idea where we were. And we found a little village that time with nobody in it, although they came back and we had a little firefight. And they had all the trees tied over. They knew we were coming, but they had this, just a little village where all the floors were raised with mud, and we dug in there and all we found was rice. I was hoping for some weapons or something. So they knew we were coming and they were prepared, and they didn't like it. And we didn't go far enough.
Let me ask you a question about two people I haven't identified. In 1970, first half of 1970, there was an SFC named Gerald Collins. Does anybody know what he did?
No.
No.
No,
In 68, the first half of 68, there was a Benny Roberts, also at SFC.
Yeah, that was Sergeant SFC Roberts. Yes, he was at Intel at Tien.
Okay.
did any of you know Sergeant Hart at Tien, who was an E7 Intel guy?
Yeah, I did.
You did, Herb?
Yeah, I know him. I knew him when he was at Tien, and then I knew him when he was at Thien.
Okay, yeah, he and I were the ones that got into that big gigantic fight.
I didn't.
Yeah, and I was really, really disappointed to see a DEC after his name. You know,
Yeah.
because I'd love to have talked to him.
Yeah, we actually had a little contact back at Bragg.
Oh,
Yeah, but then I had no contact after that.
yeah.
Irv, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who was the commander? Was Captain Dillon the commander when you were there?
No, he was the XO.
Okay.
When I
Okay.
left, he was still the XO. Rona was still there. McLean was there first, and then Rona. And then I think Rona left after I was back at Benoit. And then he became CO, I think.
And you know, Gene and I went through the SFOC together, and I knew him only at Bragg. I never saw him at all in Vietnam. And he's another one that's marked DEC.
Yeah, I was really sad to see that because I was.
Dillon is DEC?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because we were together quite a while, actually.
Yeah. And
Irv, I think you and I were at Tien at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. You might have rotated right before I got there.
I left. Well, I don't remember when I left. It was June or July.
of 70, right?
Of 70, yeah.
Yeah.
What was your MOS?
I'm a medic.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think you were there, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Well, I can pin it down pretty good. We had a kid come in. I can't remember where he came in from, but he got burned really bad playing with a flare out in the back of the team house. You remember that incident?
No. I remember somebody popped a flare out in the big central compound, but not in back. But no, I don't remember the burn.
Yeah, okay. And evidently that was after you left then. Were you there when the camp closed out?
No.
Okay, I was. That's you probably left right before I got there.
Although I visited it some. My job at Benoit was with S3 and the conversion of the camps. That's why I was in most of the camps, although I can't remember many. I just remember Katoom was your shitholes and Tien was pretty nice.
That's true.
Herb, did you know anybody at Katoom?
We call it Katoom Boom Boom.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
call it boom.
Boom.
Who was the first lieutenant there that had got the Silver Star, who was in CO for a while? You remember, Mike?
We're at Katoom.
Katoom, yeah.
I don't
I remember
remember.
his name. I used to see him at the B team all the time. And, you know, if we'd be back and forth. And
Right, yeah.
I don't know anybody. Hey, but you know what? I got a question that's been bugging me. What happened to Charlie Taggart?
Poor Charlie Taggart passed away
Oh, shit.
15, 20 years ago. He was a great NCO.
Oh, are you kidding me? He took me out on my
No, he
first
didn't
stop and
pass
I got
away.
arrested with him by the MPs.
He didn't pass away 20 years ago. Maybe,
Oh,
maybe,
jeez.
but when I contacted his family, he was in a kind of nursing home, a
Oh,
mental
boy.
nursing home.
That's
Oh,
sad.
boy.
You know,
Yeah,
this
he was a great guy.
Sergeant Taggart came from a wealthy family in Southern California. He would show me a magazine he got quarterly, and it listed all the graduates, what colleges they went to. They were corporate officers, and
Sure.
his name would say U.S. Army, sorry, SFC. He'd laugh about it.
Of course, but geez, that's sad news because I saw that I didn't see DC or anything. You got to mark this YZ. What is a Z?
I talked to his family and they said he was incapable of communicating it.
No,
And
yeah,
that was about 10 years ago.
yeah.
Oh,
So
so I
sad.
saw the Y. I thought he'd be, Jesus, too bad. We got it's funny. He took me out on my first stop. He was the one who taught me the biggest lesson in the world. Because the first time you go out and the shit hits the fan, you figure, okay, they're firing. So I whip out my gun. I go behind the tree and I start firing. He smacked me. He says, "Never fire your damn weapon. They'll think we're in the combat with it. That means it's big and they penetrate it, and you know, that kind of a thing." He says, "No, we don't fire. If we fire, we're in deep shit." So I said, "Lesson learned." And then we went on, and it was just a minor skirmish. They left, but later on, I was at the B team. He was down for a couple of things, and we'd pal around and do stuff. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a few stolen Jeeps at the B team. You know, they
Of course,
paint
they
over.
paint over everything. Yeah.
Of course, they paint over the bumper stickers, re-stencil them. So we said, let's get down. We got to get something. Let's run down. We're entertaining. Let's go to the PX over there. So we went over towards the first cab base camp, and we come out, and there's like 3 MPs surrounding the Jeep. He goes, "Hey fellas, this ain't your Jeep." I go, "What are you talking about? We just drove from the B team." "Yeah, well, we have identified. This is not the right. There was something on it that they could identify that wasn't us. So that was it. They took the damn Jeep away. We had to call and get somebody to come and haul our darn asses back to the camp." But he took it in stride, and he was always a good friend and companion. Geez, I'm sorry to hear that he
A
died.
great,
Not so peacefully either. You know, that's
a
too
real
bad.
leader. He's a real leader.
He sure was. Boy, I'll tell you. You
Hey,
felt
and
he was with you. You felt confident.
He didn't care for William E. Clark either.
Oh, there you go. But see, I got some stories that you know how many, every op he came back, I was the best writer because I had
You put him in for
education.
superstars. Yeah.
Every time, Mike knows, every time he would come back from an op, he'd either show me a piece of an ear or something and then give me this hawk and bull story. And I had to write up a complete Silver Star report to send in. Thank God. I don't think he ever got me, but because it was crap. I mean, they couldn't follow up. I wasn't there with him.
Here's the best part. He wrote it, and a Taggart or someone put it on a post in the team room, and Clark's down the hall, and Taggart walks up, reads it, says, "I wouldn't wipe my ass with this piece of shit."
Exactly.
Off, ripped it up.
But
anything.
Taggart could talk to him like that. I couldn't, because he was nasty, man. He would try to. After we had, well, you know, in September we were getting rounds all the time, and he sent me out to take pictures of live rounds with his camera, you know, because he didn't have the balls to go out and step through all the crap. It was funny, but he hated my guts. And the review he gave me at the end, Colonel Hilling got a hold of that and says, "Is this guy crazy?" He says,
Another great guy, Colonel Hilling, the B team commander.
yes, he was the best. Oh man, what a great officer. He was really, he was competent but compassionate. He knew how to handle people. It was great.
I'd go to the B team. He'd see me. He'd throw me
Yep.
the key to his Jeep. Say, Mike, have a good time, but get a haircut.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And who was the let me see on the B team here.
Hey,
His first name was
in the meantime, guys, my video has gone off and it's talking about a 40-minute limit. In case the audio goes off too, I have a quick question, which is Captain McLean, who replaced Sutton. Steve's got a blue box beside his. Anybody know anything about McLean?
Let's get an update on that. McClain.
Yeah, Robert.
Robert McLean. No, I have an address for him. The phone numbers don't work. He is in, I don't know, I think I actually talked to him. Yeah, I did talk to him a couple of days ago. He's in McKinney, Texas. But I did not get an email. Maybe he just doesn't have an email.
Well, I'd sure like to talk to him too, because I bailed his ass out.
Well,
Hey, Steve, this is Lou.
Yeah.
If I may interrupt courteously, I have some photos of various stages of construction of Thien, if I may show them. I don't know.
Please, please.
Okay. Can you help me? Put it in.
Let me see.
Just hang on a minute. This is
Luther,
looking, first stage here is coming out from Tien to the camp.
Yep.
From west to east, you got it, see it there?
Mhm.
Okay, that's the first stage, one of the first stages. Here it is with more construction minus the southern part of the perimeter having been built. You recognize that? The lower part of the photo shows the southern part. There's some bunkers in there, but it doesn't show up as construction like the other part.
Gotcha.
Catch that?
Yep. Let's see it.
Okay. And here it is. A shot from higher up. Air Force guy, help me.
Oh yeah, the stars. Yep, that's it.
April
That's it.
68.
Yeah.
Yep.
April 68.
Beautiful.
Maybe
That's when I got there.
Yep.
all right, Luther,
Yes.
did you hear me talk about specialforcesphotos.com?
Yes. He was 10 years old.
Sign in under your father's name and post those pictures up there.
One thing about that picture, there was a moat around the camp, and the moat was probably 10 feet across, 10 feet
Yep.
deep. When the NVA attacked, they had ladders that go across the moats. The
Yep.
ladders are only 6 feet long. They got bad intel.
Yep.
So you guys who were in there in 1968, do you remember D.B. Brown? He was Intel and Team Sergeant.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
At the end, yeah.
D.B. Brown doesn't have a computer, and I wasn't able to get somebody to help him out to join us here. But he is like I think 82 or something of that sort. And he lost his wife about 2 years ago. And I had another friend who lost his wife about a year ago. I called him back about 4 months later, and his daughter said he died. He just gave up. D.B. Brown, 2 years ago, lost his wife. He spent the next year writing a book about her. He's still alive.
Where does that live, Stephen?
So he wrote this book,
Let me see. Slow. Okay.
a love story about two people from the coal fields.
From West Virginia.
There you go.
Here he is with his wife.
Hey, Dave Fetters, I haven't heard from you or Trudy. Are you still there?
No,
He's gone. Yeah.
God, he's too quiet.
There you
You guys
Steve,
talking about-
Steve, excuse me. Lou here again. Gentlemen, I wish to thank you for carrying on the legacy of what we left there. You went through some shit, and I'm really proud of you for having come through, and those that have left us, bless them wherever they are. May Buddha watch over them. So I say to you, I'm so proud of knowing you through this medium here. And come on, we'll see you whenever we see you. Someone there, might be Mike, you're in San Francisco. My son just moved from the Sacramento area at Auburn here to El Paso. He says he's had it with California, too many fires and all that shit. So, and then the cost. So maybe we can make a link and get together and talk at least. With the rest of you, thank you so much for what you did for the defense of that camp.
But Mike, I'm still a 49er fan.
Okay, very good.
Luis, ya nos vemos.
Airborne, de opreso liber.
Ah, you betcha.
Luis, ya nos vemos.
Hey,
Gracias.
Oh, that's okay.
hey, this is,
Elias.
hey, Michael. Winslow. Hey, this is Elias Bourgain. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
I hear you. Speak.
Yeah, no, I see Lieutenant Lee back there also.
Oh,
I was just
I'm right here. I'm right here, and I can't believe it. It's wonderful to see everybody. Because
you know,
I wouldn't recognize, like, I made a list a few weeks ago, not a few weeks ago, but months ago, revised all the time, of like the top 10, 20 people that influenced my life and stuff. And Mike keeps showing up on the list. Near the bottom, but he's there. And he gave me some great times. And they hear the stories from all you other fellas. I know your friends there and the fellas that you fought with in the silly circumstances you got in, besides the scary ones, have served you well to be experienced enough to speak with other people in a manner that has some knowledge about conflict and friendship. And this is a very worthwhile, wonderful thing. And I remember the first time Steve got a hold of me, like maybe 20 years ago or something. I just answered the phone. I hadn't talked about Vietnam ever since the whole thing is, hey, we got a Vietnam guy. I said, holy crap, who the hell is this? But I'm so glad that we finally got through to figure out what it was. If you had a gentler approach, I'd have been here sooner. I thought he was a crazy man at first, you know, really. Yeah, I think it was to try to get down for the conference there in Vegas or whatever it was that you were going to. He sounded crazy. I didn't want to know. So, but I was wrong, Steve. What you've done is a wonderful thing. And I appreciate being part of it and being allowed to meet wonderful men who had similar experiences. So stay healthy, everybody. And I hope we can do something like this again. Mike, I'll get a hold of your address. Just saying Mike Winslow of the San Francisco Winslows isn't getting me. Don't worry. Steve's got all the details.
He's got all the information, yes.
He's even got my correct address now, so we're good. All right. Thank you again, gentlemen. It's wonderful.
Fantastic.
You got on the
You
email.
all take care.
On the email.
I hope everybody is in good health and
Signing
continues
out.
to be in good health. This has been a wonderful experience.
Hey, Steve, do you do this with every camp from Vietnam?
That's the plan. And you'll see on the website, I-Corps camps are all done. And the lady who's helping me edit them, she did a really good job. It takes a while for her to edit them.
No, but do you have these teleconferences, Zooms, all the other teams?
All the teams I'm doing now are Zoom.
That's amazing. A lot of time. Thank you for putting this together.
You betcha. I never used Zoom before. You taught me how to do it, Steve. Good man.
Everybody had COVID-19. If we didn't have COVID-19, I wouldn't know how to do Zoom.
Well, you know, we've had COVID-19 really bad, but I'm not a teacher. I didn't have to do Zoom. My neighborhood and things, I can walk around and, wave to people and have discussions. And we have driveway drinks up the street, and everybody.
That we were affected by Zoom, by the COVID personally and getting sick. It's that because of being put in isolation, we turned to Zoom and learned how to use it.
For sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why it's been so successful to do these little things because
Oh.
so many people know how to do it.
You
know,
betcha. Yep.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
Now, don't forget, if you have not already done so, I still have copies of the reprints, which are really good reprints of all the magazines we had in fifth group.
Good.
There were 2 magazines.
I saw that. Yeah, sure.
It's kind of like yearbook of what we did. So if you haven't got it, you should get it before they're gone.
You
I'm
betcha.
surprised I still have any of them left, but not everybody gets the word, as you know how that goes.
Yeah, it just says to buy them here. Is there a link
The
to?
opportunity.
The link is there. And if you have a problem, you can call me. But in Canada, you got to come across the border to get it because the price to get it to Canada is really difficult.
Don't worry. See, my dad was a prominent concert musician, and when the university was,
he was a percussionist, right?
that's correct. And when the university was closed, because he was a professor as well, and the symphony wasn't working in the summer, the government of Canada hired him as a professor emeritus with their national youth orchestra, and they would travel everywhere from, Vancouver to Halifax. And so during the summers, we would spend all our vacations and stuff up here, and it was quite pleasant. And after all the kids were grown and gone and stuff, we said, "Oh, let's go up," because we're right on the border. I mean, I could walk to the States almost. So that's why I'm here. It's not a.
Do you live in Canada? Are you living in Canada?
Yes.
I thought when I first met you were from Connecticut.
Yes. Oh, I lived in Connecticut my whole life. I was born in New York, but I was, first grade up, I was here in Connecticut. But we moved up here in 2007, I think. But I still had homes in New York and Connecticut as well as up here until, maybe 5 years ago. But we got all the new addresses, and I'll get a hold of you. I got some pictures of you that are really exciting. The trouble is they're on I got a lot of slides and stuff, but that's okay. I got this little machine that can take the slides and make a print. So
really, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
They also wanted Texas Tech, Vietnam Center, Texas Tech.
Mhm.
If you give them your slides to keep with a narrative of what's the caption for the slides, they will convert your slides or your video into digital.
Right. I've got a little machine that can do that. So I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll go that route as well. Yeah. So all the actual photographs that weren't slides, I used to have in shoe boxes and stuff. And, I'd show them to relatives and stuff. And, a few get missing every time. And after a while, it's lacking in its inner content. But I still got all the slides. Nobody wants those but me. I'll print them. Mike, I got some good ones of you, buddy.
Sounds good. I had a bunch of slides. They were in my whole baggage. Got back, they were gone. So someone went through the whole baggage and stole.
Oh, they did that to me. They took a camera lens and stuff. Our duffel bags got inspected before they got on the plane. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So that was good.
All
right. So what's next up for you, Steve?
Well, I got Nui Baden coming up here in about an hour.
Oh,
Nui Baden. At least Sergeant Hoguin's trying to come in. He was in Nui Baden and Thien.
Right.
Got overrun twice.
There you go. Boy, they got up that mountain, I'll tell you. It's beautiful. It made it easy for the pilots. They got their orientation there. You don't need a topo map when you got Nui Baden in your sight.
When I was there at the B team, the VC, we had a US radio relay up on the top, and we had control of the bottom, and the VC had the middle, and a bunch of tunnels and stuff to get around in.
Well, that's what I was saying. In May of '68, I was listening to the radio. Sergeant Hoguin, Elias Hoguin, who was trying to get in, he was up there with the SF radio team, and they had a company of the 25th ID, but they were combo guys, not infantry.
Right. Yeah,
they got
exactly.
attacked. They killed like 30 of them, and the SF guys, E&E, hid in caves because it was terrible. And you listen to it on the radio, you hear just boom, 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 bombs going off, guys screaming.
Yeah.
So then Sergeant O'Gain comes to Tien, and he's there. And on the 1st of September, when we get hit with like 500 rocket mortars,
Right.
he and I were laying in a common room, and he goes, "This is just like Nui Badin. Those are B-40s. We're gonna die." It was terrifying. Yeah.
You got something to say for yourself, Elias?
I missed that.
Yeah.
What was the question?
I was asking Elias whether he had something to say.
Oh yeah, he's not coming up. Yeah.
No, he's there, right there.
Okay. I don't see him or hear him.
Steve,
Well, say something.
Steve,
Not time flow.
Oh yeah, there he is, Al.
Oh.
yeah, how you doing, Mikey?
I'm doing good, Al.
What's
You're looking good.
I can't see.
I lost him again.
Who's looking at who here? What's the what?
The problem is some of you guys are on icon. You only see a couple of people.
Ah, okay.
You don't see everyone's here.
I got
You
a
have
blank.
that box.
No,
Well, Elias seems to have just.
Mike. Steve.
Yeah.
Steve Sherman. Yeah, this
Yes.
is Elias Holguin.
I see you.
I was looking down I can see you guys. I'm going to have to get a different internet because this apparently I'm too slow here.
Yeah, you
She's not on speed.
pictures.
I see Mike Winslow and I see Alex Lepet.
Oh, who's this?
He's like Norman Boots.
Oh, didn't get that.
Can you hear me?
Say again.
I said both. I was with Lepak and Mike Winslow at Tien
Right.
in that fateful December.
Gotcha. September was the month. Oof. Geez, I wish I could see you. I don't.
Scroll down on your viewers. I think you may have an arrow there to show the different pictures. Or
Arrow? Let's see here.
Yeah.
More zoom down. Oh,
In the meantime, Joe, where are you? Where are you located, Joe?
In Missouri, in Springfield. Where are you?
I'm in Yuma, Arizona.
Good place to be. Well, that's how you ran it. That's why you knew Rod. I mean, that you've seen him. He was in Arizona, right? Before he went back to Minnesota.
He's got a place in Arizona, yeah. But no, the way I got in contact with him is we listened to James Taylor on the radio, and I said to my wife, "Did I ever tell you how I got acquainted with James Taylor?" So I told him about Rod, because he and I were together for 4 months at Benoit. And so I thought, well, I'm going to see if I can contact him. I got on Facebook and I found his son.
Yeah.
And I messaged his son, and his son gave him the number. And so we've been in contact for 3 or 4 years.
Well, do you have that number?
I'm going to send him your email.
Oh, good. Okay.
have him contact me too.
I have told him about you. I don't know if he's ready yet.
Well, when he sees this, he'll be sad to have missed it.
Yes, he will, because he would have told the other side of that story with Joe. I think his wife Karen did tell me about waking him up that day, now that I remember.
Yeah, she was pretty bent out of shape, actually.
Yeah.
He had something like, I think he had 11 tequilas that night.
Oh,
It was pretty amazing.
it's quite a bit. Hmm.
They threw it. See, the bar was in the hotel right next to the lobby, and they gave us last call and then slammed on the lights. And that really pissed Rod off, you know, and I didn't care for it much myself. And so we left, we walked out into the lobby, and Rod says, I'm going to turn over every piece of furniture in this lobby. And when I was headed for the door, and then I turned around, and sure enough, he was turning over every piece of furniture in the lobby. That was after we low crawled on the floor, by the way. And we went on out the door, and we were way down the sidewalk when a male and a female cop appeared at the door, having responded to the call. And anyway, so they waved at us, and we kind of met in the middle. And one of the things that Rod pointed out to me later is that he didn't say a word. He just clammed up. He let me handle it. I wasn't as shit-faced as he was. And we talked our way out of it, and off we went.
Are you trying to connect?
Yeah.
We can see you, Rich. Can't hear you. Your microphone's off, it says.
Richard, yeah, there you go.
Now, you were very distorted even at the beginning,
Right.
and now it's unhearable.
Started back up again.
You're there, but you got a little resonance in your voice.
Can you hear me now?
I can
Yes.
hear you, but it's really distorted.
How about now?
Better.
Okay. Can you tell me where Debbie Brown's living?
What was the question?
Do you know where Debbie Brown is living?
That was way too distorted. I can't even
DB
tell what
Barnes?
you said.
Something like DB Barnes. Where's DB Barnes living?
No, Debbie Brown.
Oh, DB Brown is
Oh, okay. I always would know that.
Lady Lake, Florida.
Lady Lake?
Yeah, in fact, his name is on the email list.
I'm not sure I have the email list.
What you got?
Is that Lady Lake, Florida?
Yeah, Lady Lake, Florida. But the email I sent you to tell you how to come to this meeting, look at the participants.
I gotta take a quick break. I'll try to come back. If you're still in session, I will come back.
Bill, good talking to you, listening to you. Thank you for your service.
All right. So on the email I sent you, it says DB Brown, SF retired, SFR at yahoo.com.
Gotcha.
It should be there on the email you have.
All right, I'll try it out. I appreciate it.
If you don't have that, you call me back and I'll get you by phone.
Okay.
This little book he wrote is very personal, but nicely well done. Very short. About 70 pages.
Both fields of Virginia.
But it's kind of a moving book, but also it's a book to remind us to keep everything together, because he wrote that book and he's still around.
Was he not able to join the Zoom?
Say again?
Was he not able to join the Zoom?
No, he got email on a phone, but he couldn't do the Zoom, he said. And I couldn't get anybody to help him. There's a problem in some cases that people do not have anything to do. Lewis, for example, his son came in just at the right time to help him out.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's something that has to happen. But the fact is, I've got a lot more camps to do. I got to finish off 3 Corps and then go into 4 Corps. And then I got to go back to 2 Corps because when I started 2 Corps, I was doing B team really. And all the A teams on 1 B team. It was cumbersome. It was really difficult to do.
You going to Louis Baden next?
Louis Baden is next.
What time?
It'll be 1 hour from now.
Okay. 4 o'clock your time?
It's 4 o'clock Eastern, but 3 o'clock Houston Central Time.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. But you may want to go down there and just test it out a little bit. Elias was also there at Nui Baden, so I expect to see him back here in an hour anyway.
Well, I have a good friend that was up there on top on the relay, and I'd like to join it if I could, just to see if he's there.
What's his name?
Rich Givens. He was in on the Cambodia incursion. Also, I think when they launched out of Tien.
Yeah, there's a Richard E. Givens, but I didn't have him in Vietnam. That's G-I-V.
Givens.
1B?
No, Golf India November. I'm sorry, Golf India Victor. ENS, I think.
Okay. Richard C. I was not able to find him, but I did not have him on Nui Baden, so I wasn't really looking for him. Givens R. Yeah, I had him generally at C3 as an E5 during 1970s, 69, 70.
Yeah.
69, the year 69.
Yeah, correct.
And you say he was at Nui Baden?
Yes.
324. So I will put him there, but obviously I'm not going to get him in time for the meeting today.
Well,
so he's not at the meeting, but I will make an effort to find him and add him to the list. And I will put your name over here on his record.
No.
I lost contact with him. If you could shoot me an email, whatever, and let me know, I'd like to reestablish contact if I could.
Okay, well, I put a note here on his record to call you.
Okay.
I will be talking to him and telling him to call you.
Okay.
Richard C. Givens. So that's the right one.
Yep.
There you go.
So,
hey, Richard. Do you remember this? It was kind of embarrassing for me, and I don't know. This may be better. Every once in a while, they had the officers go in, and we had to do the Morse code contact up to the train.
Yeah, 500 word groups are coming in.
Oh man! So it was my turn, and I'm practicing all day, trying to get my Morse code going. You know, right? So I get in the commo room. I get the key, and I'm like, okay, here it goes. I'm slopping out this stuff. I get to the end. And to get a message back, I don't know if it was Richard, maybe Long, somebody was there. And it was the guy says, this guy is virtually unintelligible, but I know it was from you. So, don't put him on again, that kind of thing. It was an embarrassment to the commo room, but I don't know if it was you or Greg or somebody was in there. It was, but I apologize for embarrassing you guys. That's all I can do. How'd you do, Mike, when you had to do it?
Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't remember. There's Elias right now. We'd have to copy down the word groups, like 500. So you'd have to write all 5 letters down, keep the pad.
Okay. And then there was just a message that I had to get through, and it was just, I didn't have the right wait times in between the clicks and clacks.
Right, the rhythm. They could tell whose hand it was. They were unbelievable.
Oh yeah, that idiot lieutenant from Thien. That's who this is. But anyway, sometimes we have fun there.
A lot of times.
Oh, it was a lot of times,
Yeah.
It was a big contrast.
I remember
Living up the edge.
up in Tranks up one night, and one of the lieutenants came running into the combo bunker and said, stop sending, it's coming in the clear over the television. One of the only times I ever got to use, I guess it was a burst device, because it never worked. I wanted to use it. It saved a lot of time. And then one time I got it to work, he came running in and said it was coming in clear over the TV. The bleed over on the antennas or something.
So, Mike, did you ever have to be the pay officer?
I was going to say that, yes. And I flew to all the camps.
I know. They give you a chopper and a briefcase.
It was like a lost world. Mortar rounds were coming in. All the berm was blowing up. The barbed wire was sticking up. Nobody went outside,
They had some funky camps.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because you get to see all of them. And some of them, there's crashed airplanes. It's like just very interesting to see as far as our life was.
A ridiculous job, though, to take someone, fly in the Cameron Bay, get all the money, and then you bounce around.
You get that suitcase and your own chopper, and off you go.
That's right. Oh, yes.
Oh boy. Well, then you know what I'm talking about. It was fun and terrible. And then at the end, it's never quite in balance perfectly. And you try to do everything right, but who knows?
No.
It's well. Anyway, I'm glad you had that experience. I found that interesting just to see all the different camps.
Exactly, to be there.
Yeah. It was amazing. We had ours was in pretty good shape compared to some.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So
they couldn't fix Katoon because you couldn't go out there. They got mortared.
Oh yeah. It was Katoon was bad. But there were some others. I don't know if you went to the one that had the C-130 crashed on the hill beside the team house.
I can't remember that.
It was hillier terrain, so it was more towards Two-Core, I think. I don't know.
That should have been Katoon.
No, it wasn't Katoon. It was a hillier thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they had a C-130 crash near the camp.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure that wasn't the only camp, but it was curious because it was like in the woods. It was like there was no landing strip near the area. You know what I mean? It was probably maybe 100 meters from the actual camp team house and stuff in a forested area. So they must have got shot down or something. I have no idea. But anyway, it was very interesting to see the complexity and the differences in the camps. And Mike's right. Sometimes it just didn't go outside. You got right in the team house. XO was right there. CO was right there, or somebody, and you distribute whatever you had to distribute, sign the paperwork, close the suitcase, get on the chopper, and you're out of there. But there was quite a disparity in the condition of the camps.
Now, the 5 stars camp we had, well defended.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you betcha. Yep. It was a great design. And that other picture didn't really, you mentioned the moats and stuff. This is while we were there. This is in April or whatever. I don't know if you can see it.
I do, yes.
But you see the moat?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is the picture that the mohawk dropped on my head and I sent right away home. It was probably maybe early 68. But you mentioned the moats before, and they're Mike's right, man. They're you don't want to like walk across them. That's no fun. Well, I can't hear you, Mike.
Nothing. I'm just,
Okay.
You know, when I was at Tien, I don't think the moat was really functioning. I think you could have walked through it not more than up to your knees.
Oh, it was always like that. But
Right.
it was
But barbed
still-
wire on each side. It was
You had to drop down and climb out, you know?
Yeah.
Bench the way around.
Are you guys aware that Tien camp area is now a national park?
No.
It looked like that when I did a Google Earth recently.
Yeah, I went on Google Earth a few years ago and I found the camp.
Me too. Yep.
So if you
Well,
go
it's
back,
gone now.
if you go back into
See the
history,
outline.
you can still find it.
Knew back then.
I
Resort,
couldn't see any evidence of it.
a tram line running up, cable cars running up to the side.
Yes.
Well, that's Nui Baden.
Yeah.
Cable cars. Oh my
Good
goodness.
by then. It's the only mountain in the whole area. You go look at
Oh,
this,
sure.
all three cars flat, and then Nui Baden.
No topo map required.
Louis, your voice is off. Your microphone is off, Louis. Luther, his mic.
He was talking to me.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
Sorry.
not a problem.
Thank you, Steve.
Thought he was trying to say something here.
Steve, there was a man that might have been, he was at Trai for sure, then at Tien, Lance Trimmer, commo man.
Yeah.
He passed away about 5 years ago.
Years ago, yeah, he was a big SF motorcyclist.
Yeah.
Oh, remember Lance, commo man? Heavy set.
What was he, Mike? What did he do?
He was a senior commo man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Okay, he was actually assigned to Signal Company, and he was on an augmentation team at 323.
Okay. And
I
who
did
was
not
the what was the
realize-
name?
Lance Trimmer. He was
Okay.
there from December of 67 to August of 68.
Trimmer.
But he wasn't assigned to the team per se. He was assigned to Signal Company.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see him on there. Great.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't see him on the list. That's why.
Right, me either.
But I should have had him on the list because I try to keep everybody who was there on the list. But he was an augmentation.
Okay.
So I did not have him listed. Here he's listed on my list as Signal Company.
Okay.
Say, I just found Ron Holland on the distribution. Do any of you know Ron?
Yeah, but that's not a good. The email didn't bounce, but I'm not getting a response from it.
Oh, okay.
What, you said you did. Ron Cutler didn't come in, nor Garrett Van Ness.
That Cutler, I don't tell me the names. I'm not.
We had Garrett Van Ness. You said his email bounced back.
Van Ness, yeah, it bounced back. I also left a message with a guy I think was his son, and he never bothered to call me back.
Yeah, he was the XO when I got there.
Ah.
And then Ron Cutler replaced me.
Not Cutler. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Three.
Oh, it's Ron. You're talking about Calvert?
Calvert.
Yeah, Calvert. Yeah,
Yeah, Ron Calvert. Okay.
Calvert. I said Cutler. I'm sorry, Calvert. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's Ron Calvert.
Calvert replaced you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
And
Calvert.
I gave him a call, and I think his email address is on there, but he didn't answer the call. So that's the story. I'll tell you, I have never yet heard of a Nigerian Princess SF scam. But, you know, I get a lot of people who just are reluctant to pick up the phone.
Mhm.
And I try to make sure I'm calling you about this guy who was in special forces in Vietnam. And you would think that that would get somebody to call me back one way or the other. And it doesn't always work.
Ah.
Everybody's afraid there must be some scam.
Right. So many scam calls.
You betcha.
Steve,
Yeah.
your phone call to me 10 years ago started the flood.
There you go.
I had absolutely no reluctance in talking to you. And a couple of weeks ago, when you left a voicemail for me, man, the next day when I read or listened to the voicemail, the next day I picked the phone up and we had another conversation. So,
Yeah.
you know, you and your approach, I think, was good.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed sitting in on this immensely.
I enjoyed participating in it. It really is a lot of fun to do this. I regret the fact that so many people just didn't take advantage of it. You know, certainly there are a lot of VA appointments that people have to go. One fellow today, Talon, he sent his regrets because he had an appointment today. But this email went out to about 40 people at this camp, and probably at least 30 of them were good, solid addresses that I talked to, and we only had 10, not counting me, people from here on this video, so they all missed out. But you guys have made a good representation of the history of your camp, from Bill being there to start it out, and from Willis Abrams, who closed it up.
Yep.
So you can cover the history pretty well, and it is recorded, and it will be posted on my Special Forces Books website.
Super.
Hey, Steve, I don't know how you did it, but you are super sleuthful finding people. Somehow I got a text from my daughter in Connecticut that some special forces guy wanted me to call him, and he gave me your number. It was my daughter, and she's married. It's not even my name. It's not even Lepak. It's like, how the hell did you find her?
Well,
her last name is Gazzo. I mean, how to
was it an old number of yours?
No, she has her own place.
Okay. Here's what I do. I use a service called White Pages.
Oh, all right.
Don't pay the money. Every phone number they give you is dead.
Oh, well,
I
it wasn't on my bucket list, but I'm not going to do it.
I pay them so I can look up 200 people a month. And I use that every month.
Well, bingo. You hit the target. I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for that.
But then if I can't find you, I will go down and look for your known associates, family and associates, which is on that.
And that's unbelievable. They have that info, the connection. Good. Okay. Good job. Anyway, I was astounded.
I have another friend who has the capacity to look up people by social security numbers. And she's
we didn't have social security numbers.
If I can't find you, I go to her. And don't tell me you don't have social security numbers.
Well, not in the military. We had our own.
January 1st, 1968, you had a social security number.
You changed them, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't on my discharge papers. Have 0523.
January 1st to 68.
They got your officer number on
everything. And you would be there. I'll tell you.
Well, that's good if you have that. I just was curious because I know now in the military, you're identified by your social security number. But back in our day,
well, I get in a big fight with
05-382-283.
Okay, your Vietnamese jumping orders got your social, I think.
They probably have my officer number.
Yeah.
05-331-283.
042. 042. And yeah.
Oh, that's my social security, but that's 042. Yeah. 38, blah, blah, blah is my social security number.
Right.
But
and
the,
that was issued
but my
in-
office number is 05 280 340 something
Those
283.
numbers, the Army serial numbers don't do me any good. There's no cross-reference.
Well, I know they don't. Yeah. So that's why I was wondering how they put on the documentation. I guess if they have the social security, that's good. No, that's great. That's it's perfect
Okay.
solution. I didn't even think about that. I just know my military ID was not my social security number. That's all.
I don't know, back in 2012, I guess, when you first contacted me, I don't recollect whether I was curious enough to ask you how you found me or what. Was it using that system?
No, back at that time, I didn't have that capacity. But let's see.
Hey, Steve, I gotta check out now.
Okay.
So good
Okay,
talking
Mike,
to
be in
everybody.
touch.
Al, we'll get in touch.
You betcha.
Okay, good memories. Thank you all.
betcha.
Thank you again, Steve. Okay, out here.
Take care, Mike.
Bill,
Okay,
Thank you, Mike.
Go too.
you,
to see.
how long did you stay in the service? What did you retire at? Bill?
We retired here in Maryland in 1985.
From the military.
Yeah,
At what grade?
Lieutenant Colonel.
Okay. I have a book that was sold by the Army. And I got into this pitching contest with the Secretary of Defense when Clinton was president.
Yeah.
I found a contractor for the Department of Defense who had been paid to take pictures of every single award order in Vietnam. 600,000 award orders he had digitized.
Holy Christmas.
And I wanted that tape. I found the tape in the contractor's office. They had used it to put a program into the Pentagon for looking at awards. And I asked her, I said, I'd like to get a copy of that tape. And I will be happy to pay for the cost of copying it. And you can send it back to the tape manufacturer and he can copy it because he's, you know, he won't mess it up because his job is to make sure your tape survives. And she said, well, that sounds like no problem, but I better ask just to make sure. That was my mistake. I didn't realize how bad it would get. So she asked somebody in official capacity to give me that tape. They said, hell no. It's got social security numbers on it. And these are all image files. They say for $1 million, we'll cut out all the social security numbers off the image files. You know, digital file, you can cut it off, but an image file, it's just about impossible. You gotta go and black it all out manually. So I got into this thing where I end up losing in the Fifth Circuit Appeals Court. And I argued and I said, you publish the social security numbers of every active duty officer, regular Army officer. In 1974, you gave me the social security number, the birth date, the education, the full name of every officer who was regular Army in 1974. And I think that's where I found Bill Shelton's social security number.
I'll be darned.
And they said, we may have opened the barn door and it was too late to close it, but we can't compromise the identity of people today. Even if we've done it before, we can't do it. I said, I can tell you Colin Powell's social security number and birthday. I can tell you Bill Shelton's social security and birthday. I'll publish his whole fucking list. And they didn't back off. So they won the case. I had to shut up. I did not get 600,000 award orders. At that time, I had the resources with people I knew from other units. Each one would have taken their batch, like 101st or 25th Infantry Division. They would gone and digitize their awards. And I did that for SF. I got the SF awards out of the National Archives. We got 9,000 pieces of paper, and
Wow.
three man years, 3 people working a man year.
Wow.
We put it all into a database, and I can tell you lots of things. You know, you want to know who got an award on this day because somebody died on that day. I can look it up without a problem. But we could have done this, everything.
Did
if
you
we
ever
had that.
consider going into the skip tracing business?
We never got those awards. And later, when Clinton was out, I had the idea that I wrote to Carlisle and to Leavenworth,
Mhm.
and I said I would like these 3 pages from an after action report. And without blinking an eye, they sent me, both of them sent me those 3 pages. The middle page had the 10 social security numbers of SF people.
Mm.
So I contacted the 9 living people and said, can I act as your representative when I sue the Secretary of the Army for invading your privacy? And I was about to launch that offensive there when the first Gulf War broke out, and I figured Rumsfeld had too much on his hands to worry about me. So I
tell you
did
what, you
follow
are
up.
persistent and thorough. I'm
But
amazed.
you know, there's just a lot of stuff out there, and there's a lot of history to be recorded.
You can,
Yeah.
you can cut off.
People send me stuff from under their bed. You know, like I have the 5th group general orders, but special orders, CIBs and Vietnamese awards and Vietnamese jump wings, they come from different places. What I have on those all came from individuals who said, here's my jump wing orders. There's lots of other names on it. If you don't have them, you know, here it is. So I've got a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of it. And,
Wow.
and a lot before 1968, 5th group awards all came out of USERV. So I don't have all those awards. And senior awards, silver stars and above, had to come from higher levels, USERV or DA. I don't have all of those, but I've got a lot. So, you know, my database is very large. The paper I've got here is voluminous.
I can imagine.
Wow.
But fortunately, my wife let me, when we moved over here about 15 years ago, she didn't want me downstairs messing it up. So we built a room up here in the attic. And you can see from behind me.
It's beautiful.
I've got some books.
That's amazing.
You don't see.
Steve, I thought you were in a public library.
Don't see is this bookcase is a double row.
My God.
Mhm.
Pretty
I had
amazing.
enough bookcases for just by having one row, floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
It didn't work out that way. Murphy took charge. With expands
Wow.
to fill the spaces. But I
Lord.
there's so much information to collect and things to do. You know, the Green Beret magazines. I have other little publications that I put out over the years, like First Group TDY, people in Vietnam on the TDY teams. I have a whole series of books that I just put out that
You ordered that, yes.
which is by year, the Vietnam as a whole by year. And this,
Yeah, I went to the link that you put in the email and looked that up. I'm impressed.
yeah,
You know, I'm impressed.
so the books, I edit them. I usually wrote one article in each book, but I have a lot of friends who really are good historians, and I got them by beating them up to write articles. For example, in the 72 book, there's an article about Richard Nixon by a young graduate student. It's not that good an article, but it does the job. And then the next article is 1972, the year we snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And that's by a guy named Bill Stearman, who died last year. And he was like the number 3 guy under Kissinger, maybe the number 2 guy, him or Negroponte. And Bob Baker was an intelligence officer during the Easter Offensive in I Corps. Nia Vo, and a Vietnamese officer, wrote about the battles of An Lac. Another guy who wrote a paper on Psy War. He had his original book on Psy War was quite good. Another friend, every volume here, he writes a lengthy piece on the anti-war movement, and he really's got them down. Merle Pribenow, who is a really good translator for the CIA and helps everybody doing research now. He wrote an article, Jane Fonda and a friendly North Vietnamese intelligence officer, about the agent who was running her.
Talking about those books.
Wrote an article on China and Laos, which is part of a series of books that he's done. He's kind of the expert on Laos. And Bill Laurie wrote an article criticizing Christian Appy, who's a teacher at UMass. So that's the kind of stuff that's in these books. They're quite interesting, quite good, because they talk about things that the academia is not talking about, or has told the wrong story. So that's fun to do, and that kept me out of trouble for a long time. I had to wait 1 year to finish this job because the author of the last article didn't turn in his article for 1 year, and I had to wait. There was nobody else to do it. It was Russia and the Vietnam War, and this guy, the Soviet Union and the Vietnam War, and this guy was the expert. He's the guy that found the 1283 document or something in the archives in the Soviet Union. But he did a good article, and the series got finished. So,
Steve, you got to stay healthy. No one else is doing this.
Well,
It would not happen without you.
I've got for SF. There's nobody doing it. I've got other people. I've got a young man here in Houston who's 101st, but much later than we were. And
Sure.
He's prepared to come in and take over everything when I'm gone. And
Wow.
then there's another young man who's taken over the work that I'm doing on SOD, and he's particularly into the recon teams in great detail.
Right. Sure.
Hey,
great.
So those things are going on. Plus, the larger group of veterans. I am the director, managing director, or whatever I am, of a group called the Vietnam Veterans for Factual History. We're the publisher of the Yellow Book series, and also the publisher of a magazine series that you'll see on my signature block. And the magazines are free downloads. There are 6 of them, and planning on 8 altogether, but 6 of them are done. And you can go to that website. A little bit cumbersome. The guy who designed that website went up and died on me, which wasn't nice of him. But
downright inconsiderate.
Damn right.
The only thing I can do is post new magazines. I can't change the sign-up procedures. I can't even get into them. So
It's been a hell of a lot of work.
Well, it keeps me out of trouble.
It's tough. Yeah.
It gives me a reason. And if I was sitting around here just thinking about things and life in general, I probably would have died a long time ago.
Well, yeah, you're doing great. I take my hat off to you.
Yep. Good job.
Well, I thank you, because without people who are doing it, I'm just waiting for the cockroaches to learn how to read. And they can find out what happened to the human race when they do.
Yeah, it'll be a sad story.
But, you know, a lot of our problems are the stories that were told about the Vietnam War.
The whole thing since a couple of weeks ago has caused me to do as it did back in 2012 when you called. Every couple of days, something new drops into my head. Geez, I didn't think about that, or I didn't mention. So I'm starting to do the same thing. I'm writing it down, and
you have to
I'm gonna
do.
put that on the list and send it to you as to my comments, because it certainly behooves me to shake my memory and help you along with and improve the vast reference material that you've compiled so far. You know, let's face it, you're the only one that's done it.
No, there's a lot of people who I hope and I've seen writing memoirs, writing notes to their family, writing other things. It's good, and I try to help them out. A guy a long time ago gave me a phrase from an ode by Pindar that says, "Heroes die when their songs go unsung." And I've taken that very seriously to heart, because I say, I don't have the singing voice, but I'm here to help the guys who do. Okay, I gotta take this call.
All right. You go for it. Steve, I got to take my dog for a walk. She's bugging me. Oh.
Guys, you all take care. It's very good to link up with you, and I hope we'll be doing this again in the future.
You betcha. Yep.
I was delighted to sit back and watch the ice break, the camaraderie grow, the stories go back and forth, memories of different people go back and forth, and that in itself was a real thrill.
Yeah, and especially now to see what people look like, you know. I wouldn't, if I saw Dick on the street, I wouldn't, who the hell, you know. But now that I'm focusing, I go, oh yeah, I remember that face might have been. So that's what's wonderful. We know what we look like now, and we can relate better to the situation that we've grown into. And it's wonderful. We can remember and talk. And I haven't thought about it as much. And I agree with you, Bill. I'm going to start jogging my memory and making a few notes, because it's worth, you know, I maybe my kids might be interested. You know, I haven't really discussed it with family. I never really talk about it. So it's wonderful. You gave me a good clue. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, it's all my, you know, it's all my experience, and we don't talk about it. I'm living with my oldest daughter. We don't talk about it to dinner.
No, yeah, never. But you know, hey, we're not going to live forever, and she's going to, you know, I got grandkids. They might want to know, you know. So who knows? But it's better that I try to remember more, because as we get older, I've, you know, my memory's been jogged about a lot of things just in talking with you fellas.
Yeah,
so it's good.
Yeah. And stuff like this, your memory unfolds in spurts.
Exactly. And it doesn't unless you have something to bounce off of, you know. And I said, oh, okay. And then you start thinking about that situation. It's
yeah, it stimulates the.
It sure does. It sure does. Yeah. What is that? Oh, that's my phone.
Steve, gotta go.
Okay, hold on for a minute. I'm going to put something up here. Everybody who hasn't done so already, click on chat. If you don't see chat, it's there under the 3 dots. And
chat, yeah.
Okay.
I pressed it.
Now hold on. I got to get my end of this thing done here.
Okay.
I am going to upload to chat. Open. Okay, let me try that again from my computer. It was uploading slowly. Oh, okay, it has uploaded successfully. Okay, and then download. If you see this coming there.
Yeah, I thought it says download.
Okay. Well, I said download, but you're not seeing the file download.
Oh, so we tap download or what?
No, I don't know what happened. It looks like maybe it's too big for the Zoom file. Look, let me try to remember the individuals who are on here today. I've got the other meeting coming up, so that I won't have time in the next half hour to do anything with it. But as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to download the file for you, which is on the magazine VVFH mag thing. But this one is an unprotected, not password protected file. And what it is a comic book. They call that graphic novels today.
Right.
And what happens is the girl goes to Arlington to her grandfather's grave and finds an older guy sitting there, kneeling there. And she goes into a conversation with him. And her ideas about the Vietnam War are totally screwed up because from being a student in America today. And he and her have a long conversation about many things in Vietnam. And then she gets her teacher, in part 2, gets her teacher to invite him to come to the class and talk to his class. So that's the comic book. Okay. I think it did a really good job. I had one guy wrote the script, and then we had another guy, young fellow, who knows the comic book stuff. And he hired some artists and did the colorizing and controlled their work. And then we finished the comic book. And so it's quite good, I think. And I only printed 100 physical copies because, you know, those go to people sponsoring what we're doing here. And they pay $100 each for one magazine. But this really a very quality production, and PDF files don't cost anything. We didn't want to do a magazine that made us have a deadline and find subscriptions. It was a business. So we said, okay, we're just going to give it away. But this one came out so well. What I really would like to do is I'm thinking right now about the American Legion. I haven't approached them yet directly. But I'm saying I'll turn this over to the American Legion or to a large organization that will go out and print 1 million copies. They have 12,000 American Legion posts. If they send 100 copies to each post, bing, that's 1.2 million copies. And they start out just by saying, okay, let all our Vietnam veterans give this away to their grandchildren. Okay.
Yeah.
They go to a school, they can go ahead and distribute them for free in the schools. At the American Legion, I'm considering, my plan is that there should be 8 pages added to the magazine as it stands for advertising, for sponsorship, to raise the money to pay for the printing. And I think it would be a good thing. The problem is the people I talk to say, well, kids don't read anymore, even comic books. And that's true. Mm-hmm. And they say, but there's no interest in Vietnam. I don't think that's true. I think that the family members, grandchildren and whatnot, the whole spread of the genealogy, your nephews and nieces and grandnieces, they all want to know about Vietnam. And they know they're not getting good information. And if they're getting information from you, they're interested. That makes a very large number of people who want information about Vietnam. And there are a couple of programs that are elective programs at high school level that I've heard about that are doing really, really well in getting attendance, voluntary attendance, because so many people want to know the story of Vietnam that doesn't come from the academic side of the house. So I hope this comic book fits that bill, and I hope that we find a vehicle for getting it out there. My impression that all of our problems that we have today stem from the fact that these idiots who are opposing the Vietnam War, thinking that, oh, well, if we just don't fight, we can stop the war. and not realizing that they turned the United States into the paper tiger that China said we were. And we end up in a situation like Afghanistan and forever wars that we never decide to win. So anyway, that's my soapbox.
Steve, as far as the goes, do you accept any donations? What if I wanted to send you some money?
If you want to send money, VVFH has a donations at vvfh.org.
Okay, I'll look at that and see how it works. And it specifies your stuff, right?
Yeah, it specifies it, but you can also buy things or just do
Okay. No worries. I'll get on the website, see what's for sale.
Yeah, because I got the SF stuff, I got the VVFH stuff. It's all listed in there. If you don't have the Green Beret magazines, you should have them.
I'm gonna get them because I should have them.
If you don't have the yellow books, you probably should have them too.
Yes.
And the comic books and the magazines are all free downloads.
Okay.
But when you see what I'm going to send you, you'll hurry up and get the rest of them, because the comic book plays a really important role for in general. But the other books I've got, the first book was on Burns and the Vietnam magazine, and the guy who wrote this Bowden, who wrote the one on Away. The second one was on the idea that the Vietnam War was unwinnable. And we go through all of the incidents in the Vietnam War where there were major changes that could have been done if somebody made the decision to do them. And then the third book is about the American Vietnamese community. The fourth book is about the newspapers, media. And the fifth magazine is, we've taken a stack of academic books, which are called Orthodox Histories, and a stack of revisionist histories. And we have broken the whole thing from 1917 to today down into episodes. And we have articles on each of those periods of time, talking about the Orthodox perspective and a revisionist perspective and why one is right and one is wrong. So I enjoy doing the magazines because it really lets me do things that I might not otherwise do. And the two magazines yet to be done are Teaching the Vietnam War and Vietnamese Communism. So yeah, those are yet to be done, and we're working on them.
All right.
Well, Stephen, thank you. I'm going to sign off. Appreciate your efforts, and look forward to maybe. Hey, I wanted to ask you, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's a little fuzzy.
You've got something wrong with it. What you have to do is go up to the Zoom .usa/test that I mentioned in my thing, and you'll hear yourself. And
yeah, I did all that. It sounded fine. But if you can hear me now, I just wanted to check in with you. When are you going to do B55?
You are coming up with such an echo in your voice. It's very hard to understand all things you say. But you got my phone number, and you can call me on any time, really. But today, for the rest of the afternoon, and then tomorrow afternoon, I'll be in Zoom meetings. You know, Wednesday and Thursday are my Zoom meeting days, and the other days are my telephone days.
You got to get up and walk around once in a while, Steve.
That's called exercise, and the doctors keep doing it. And I refuse.
Okay.
Steve?
Seeing you, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, fuzzy, but I can hear you.
When are you going to do B55?
B55?
Yeah.
No, I have spent a lot of time on Mike forces and Delta. And the A-Camp got the shorts. I have whole CDs on each Mike force. So there's a lot recorded.
Zoom meeting? Are you going to do any Zoom meetings on B55?
I'm not planning any Zoom meetings on the Mike forces or Delta or the projects, because the history has been pretty well covered in other things I've done. and I've got my hands full just on the A teams. And if I go beyond that, and work on the B teams, that would be another couple of months of effort. But as I said, the CDs I've got cover most of the after action reports that I've been able to obtain from each of the Mike forces.
I was just curious. I had joined, volunteered to go to B-55 when I got in country, and my best friend snuck around in front of the line. He got the assignment, and I didn't. But he was killed 3 months later, and on an operation on Nui Kodo. And I was just wondering, do you have any information on that?
That's the fourth. Well, they're trying my force too. It's on the CD-ROM, both of them. A lot of information.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll sign off. Let you go. Appreciate your efforts.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'll get in touch with you sometime in person.
All right. Take care.
So long. Take care, guys.
Okay, Dick.
Hey, Steve, it's a Lou. It's a Lou.
Yes, Lou.
Remember I told you that I was the last XOCO of B-55 when we closed it out in 70.
That's right.
So I'll give you input on that when you need it.
Okay.
Right. We were active to the end.
Bo Gritz would have been happy.
And this is a residue from the previous session that you came into. But we're gonna in a little while we're gonna start on Nui Baden. And you got Elias Holkman here, who is also there at Nui Baden with you right now.
Yeah, am I signed in?
You're in.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to start with Nui Baden. I was on top of Nui Baden.
Right. Well, the other people here were also at A-323.
Well,
so that's just finishing now. And then Nui Baden is going to start up.
Okay, I'll wait for a second.
There you go.
I'm going to run downstairs. You guys are all welcome to stay here and chat.
No, I got to get going myself.
Okay.
My dog is insisting I take her out.
Yeah, I've got to go down and refill my ice.
Well, there you go.
For the rest of the day is gone.
Oh boy, it's been a great experience. At first, I didn't know what was going to happen. Never used Zoom before. This is wonderful. I want to thank you, Steve, and everybody who participated. It was great. It was a learning experience for me, and the learn before and the after. It's just it was a great thing. Makes my heart feel good.
Yeah, brought back a lot of memories, didn't it?
Oh, you betcha. You betcha. And it all came from the beginning. I was the middle of the Oreo cookie. But thank you all.